So like a lot of other people, I've seen the Barbie movie. And like a lot of other people, I was really moved by America Ferrera's big speech. And it got me thinking about some of the contradictions of being a plus size person. So I wanted to shout them into the void. You have to like yourself, but not too much because that's glorifying obesity, but not too little because then you have low self-esteem. And who's ever going to like you if you don't like yourself? You have to date, but you can't reject anyone because you should be grateful that anyone is giving you any kind of attention or being attracted to you. But you also can't settle because then you don't value yourself. You can't complain that you're fat because it's your fault that you're fat. But then when you bring up things like PCOS, hormonal issues, eating disorders, then you're just making excuses. You have to eat, but not too much because people are going to point it out if you eat too much. But if you eat too little, then people are going to congratulate you on starving yourself and trying to lose weight. You have to eat, but not salads because who are you kidding? But also not a burger because then you're just a stereotype. You have to be okay with people making fun of you, mostly behind your back. But then the second that you laugh at yourself or make fun of yourself, they're going to be angry because you're taking away some of their power by laughing at yourself and seeing that you are the joke, and they can't take power from that if you're willing to laugh at yourself. You have to be okay with how often skinny people throw on fat suits just to be funny, and how most of the time skinny actors are hired and put into fat suits instead of fat actors being hired. You have to be put together and not sloppy because then you're just another part of the stereotype of being fat and lazy. But you also can't complain about the price that you pay for plus size clothing. You just have to be grateful that there's plus size clothing at all, even though a lot of the time it's only online. And God forbid you do lose weight, because then you'll realize that people treat you better as a skinny person than they ever did as a fat person. And on top of all of that, which I haven't even covered in this video, you can make a video venting some of your frustrations, and people will crawl out of the woodwork and go out of their way to make nasty comments to you. And yet they'll say that thin privilege isn't a thing while they are actively trying to make you feel bad about existing and being fat in this world. There are people who don't want fat people like me to exist. And that in and of itself is enough to make you feel a little bit worthless. But I do exist, and I'm not going anywhere.
But there are also people who don't want my channel to exist. Just don't whine and try to improve and better yourself. Don't be delusional. There is nothing to accept about fat.
I cried watching the Barbie movie because I've never felt pretty.
I could listen to this all day cause I've never been able to put words to it.
Nobody is born obese. Instead, weight gain has a tendency to sneak up on us.
Yeah, no, I don't really do mud.
But you're a garden fairy!
Ironic, isn't it?
Undereating or eating at irregular times can also cause weight gain. Feel ya sis, you're beautiful.
If you don't eat enough, you're gaining weight too.
Apparently the one meal has at least 3,000 calories.
For a very small number of obese individuals, there is a clear genetic cause for their weight. Up to 5% of extreme obesity starting in childhood can be traced back to mutations in the gene encoding the melanocortin-4 receptor.
So because I won't tell you why I'm fat, you think that I'm now mentally ill or it's a mental condition, when I've talked about my mental struggles and my mental illnesses on here anyway. And first you want to go and make fun of my body, you want to say you don't want to look at me, and then now you're making fun of my mental health? What is wrong with you? Like, why are you so miserable that you need to project all of this nonsense onto me, a person existing on the internet that has nothing to do with you? Like, I just don't comprehend that. You are the one who needs to get help, sweetie. Okay? And you're the one who needs to stop bothering strangers on the internet because you can't deal with your stuff yourself.
Stop it. Get some help.
I'm fat because I love food and I'm not gonna live my life hungry, so WTF of it? Lol.
Fact. Mothers who have a BMI greater than 35 had a 23% greater risk of having a baby with malformations than those with a normal BMI.
Gwen, what's wrong?
I got shiny pants!
And what's wrong with your shiny pants?
Someone could have a duck in my cooter!
And what did you learn, Gwenna?
There's a reason it's hard to find shiny pants for girls who can start a fire with their thigh!
You wear those pants and have your kids wear some of those squeaky shoes, lol. You can be your own little band.
This is the reason I don't wear pleather or similar pants. Sat down and foof. It wasn't me.
Fact. In most countries, obesity kills more people than starvation does.
Let's talk about diets that don't work. Keto was made for epileptic children. Intermittent fasting is just a fun way of saying I'm starving myself. Juice cleanses are just a really expensive way to drink your fruit instead of eat it. Any MLM 30-day detox bullshit is just a way to shit your pants and spend a lot of money. Noom is basically MyFitnessPal, but you're just paying more for it, and they pretend to have a psychological component, but really it's just health coaches that have no background on nutrition. Calorie restriction, or just restricting food in general, works until you become really fucking hungry and end up eating everything in sight and develop a horrible relationship with food. Whole30 is just a fancy way of restricting yourself for 30 days and then binging out of control on day 31. So if you want advice from a registered dietitian, dieting literally doesn't work, and 2/3 of dieters will gain more weight than they originally lose. You're best off creating a healthy relationship with food and learning how to trust your body again. Intuitive eating.
But don't obese people eat intuitively?
1 year on keto, then 2 years low carb. Lost half my weight and have kept it off. Why don't we just let people do what works for them? Not y'all trying to argue with someone who has a degree in this.
Obesity fact. Babies born to obese mothers are more likely to be large at birth, a phenomenon called macrosomia.
Why sleep in separate rooms? The reason we sleep in separate rooms, okay, is because I snore heavily. I'm like... And then literally Sienna's like, oh my God, can you stop, please? Just get up, I'm so done, that's it, leave. So we thought, you know what, we've got 5 bedrooms, we might as well utilise them. Do you know what I mean? So she sleeps in one, I sleep in another one. Everyone's happy, we get a good night's sleep, we've got a healthy relationship, we love each other very much. Get over it, you know, I mean, it is what it is. A lot of people do it, and a lot of people have a happy marriage forever and ever. I've already mentioned this many times before, it doesn't mean everything. You know, we still have central times. We'll still have the naughty little, like, you know, we have the fun times still, okay? Don't get too emotional, trolls. I know it's true. Yeah, I know it's hard. But yeah, basically, we just sleep in separate rooms because it's better for our marriage. It's better for everyone to have a good night's sleep. I mean, let's be honest. No one wants to keep getting woken up every 10 seconds by me snoring or by her waking me up saying, get up. You know what I mean? There's just no need. There's no need. Just sleep in separate bedrooms. It'll be a healthy marriage for you and everything.
Snoring and obstructive sleep apnea are 2 health risks associated with overweight and obesity.
They don't make beds big enough, unfortunately.
That's what she tells you.
What can obesity lead to? Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, gynecological and sexual problems.
So, for those who don't know, just because you're fat doesn't mean you're immune to fat phobia, okay? I'm fat, and I used to be fat phobic, and guess what? I unlearned that, because I don't want to be an asshole for the rest of my life to everyone else. I don't want to be the one who judges people. I don't want to be like you, because you're asking me for my medical information that you are not privy to. I don't want to be like you. I used to be like you, and then I changed myself to not be a fucking asshole. Just because you're fat doesn't make you immune to fat phobia. Actually, a lot of fat people are fat phobic too. Especially to themselves and especially to other people. Because when you're fat phobic, you hate fat people, and if you're fat, then you hate yourself. But if you're not smart enough up here, then you can't even realize that, and therefore you project your fat phobia onto other people. You project your own self-hatred onto other people because of your own fat phobia. Now, if you can't connect those dots, then I cannot help you, and you need to leave my page.
You are an attention seeker. And watch your mouth. Cussing isn't sexy either.
Today, we're diving into an important and sensitive topic: understanding the health implications of obesity. It's crucial to approach this subject with empathy and facts. We'll explore how excess weight impacts our bodies and why addressing obesity is essential for overall well-being.
Brands really be wondering why plus sizes don't sell, but if you want plus sizes to sell, why you keep making them ugly as hell? Why do I gotta get it in the mail? Why can't I go to the store like everybody else? Everybody else, they got it on the shelf, they got it on the rack, they got it in the bag. I gotta wait for the stock online. Baby, why? When I am this fine, ooh, baba, 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 baba. Sell the plus sizes, sell the plus sizes, sell the plus sizes, sell the plus sizes. This an advertisement, this an advertisement, this an advertisement, advertisement for the plus sizes, 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 for the plus. I need some backup dancers, some backup singers.
Take a breath.
Seriously, anything cute isn't in my size. So I end up looking like Adam Sandler.
When is this dropping on Spotify?
Obesity can lead to various health issues. Excess body weight strains vital organs, putting individuals at higher risk for heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and certain cancers. Carrying extra weight can also lead to joint problems, making physical movement challenging and painful.
I love snarky comments that disprove themselves. Dude, skinnies don't care about the fatties unless they're on an airplane, my guy. Then what are you doing here? You don't care about us fatties? What are you doing here?
Dude, go in the comment section of any fat creator on here and you'll see you're wrong.
Addressing obesity isn't about shaming or judgment, it's about promoting a healthier life. Obesity-related conditions strain healthcare systems and, most importantly, impact individual lives. Encouraging healthier lifestyles, inclusive environments, and accessible resources can make a positive difference.
But you also talk over people who try to explain their own experiences just because they're smaller than you.
Okay, I just went camping with girl guides all weekend, so I'm very tired. 3 hours and 5 hours of sleep. So I'm going to try not to be that rude with my voice and my condescending tone, okay? But to educate you, here we go. For the millionth fucking time, the community that I have created on here and on my Instagram and my other apps, the communities I've created on social media, guess what? They're not for you. The communities I've created are for fucking fat people. They're for fatties. They're not for thin people who want to talk over us. If you're a thin person and you want me to validate you for your thinness, this community I have created, this is not the place for it. So if you think that me saying this isn't, this community's not for you, if you think that is me talking over someone, then sure, I'm a fucking hypocrite. You think that. I think I'm the villain because I created a community for fat people.
So you educate only fat people? Okay.
The internet is not a safe space. When you voice your opinions to thousands of people, don't be shocked when some of them disagree.
Understanding the challenges individuals face and providing accessible resources can help create a compassionate environment. Supportive communities and healthcare systems play a pivotal role in helping individuals manage their weight and overall health.
Happy Halloween, everyone! I know, I look fucking weird as fuck right now. I am with my
You're right. You do look weird as fuck. It's weird as fuck to put on a fat suit and make that your costume in 2023. It's also weird that it happens to be a sloppy fat person. If you're going to put on a fat suit, you could have picked any of the iconic fat people in history. including myself.
But wouldn't that also be weird?
I don't know. I just find it incredibly disappointing and distasteful. I know I saw in other comments you said that your weight fluctuated, so you didn't find this costume offensive. But I'm here to tell you, as a really fat person, that it is offensive. And the thing is, it's not even good. It wasn't even good. It's not even funny. Like, as a gay, I wasn't watching that gagged. I wasn't like, oh, that's a look. I want to do that. I'm inspired. It just gave ick. So I would just urge you and anyone out there watching that in the future thinks that wearing a fat suit and, you know, dressing up as a fat person is funny and all of the things that run through your weird brain.
Everything bothers you.
Your weird brain. It's not. It's not. We are not costumes. Unless, you know, you want to pick Miss Piggy, Divine. I could keep going. Look, I saw a ton of people do Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids. Hilarious. But it really wasn't about her size. It was about the character. But hey, I don't know. Maybe there is an MTA worker on there that, you know, you were inspired by. But it wasn't funny. And it was sloppy. I don't know. Do better. Or don't. I don't know. Happy Halloween!
I honestly think you get more beautiful every time I see you. I think I first saw you on Torrid as one of the models.
Maybe you should do better. Then you won't be offended when someone dress up as fat person.
In conclusion, it's essential to recognize the complexities surrounding obesity and work together to promote health and wellness for everyone. Let's foster understanding, provide support, and encourage healthier choices. By embracing empathy and knowledge, we can create a world where everyone has the opportunity to lead a healthy, fulfilling life.
And so there's a video that's going viral from the 1960s talking about PTSD.
People are shocked at what American high school gym class looked like in the 1960s. This footage is from one of the 4,000 U.S. high schools that followed La Sierra's physical education program that was pushed to be the standard model by JFK. According to the La Sierra physical education standards that were outlined in their 1966 handbook, the minimum push-ups that a student should be able to do is 16, and they should have at least a 7.5-minute mile run. Considering most modern Americans struggle to even complete 5 push-ups, this 16 minimum is quite shocking. The top group that was outlined in the handbook is Blue Team, and to be a part of this you had to be able to perform 12 handstand push-ups.
JFK, man.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Should we go back in time?
What is crazy about that?
And now we have people identifying as fucking potato.
Welcome to a day in the life of a fat activist. I start the day off feeding my cat some treats because she needs to know that unless she's fat, I won't love her. Then I took a bath because I am far too lazy to stand and need to preserve all the calories that I can for the day. Then I filmed some TikToks, making sure to glorify obesity and show everyone how cool and trendy it is to be fat. On my way to the doctor's, I stopped at Dunkin' and got the sugariest coffee possible and ate 24 donuts. At the doctor, I made sure he knew that I knew more than him, and I berated him over any medical advice or testing he wanted to do. After that, I headed to my yoga class, where instead of taking the class, I sat in the back and yelled at everyone, telling them to stop exercising and to get fat instead. Because being skinny is bad. Cheers. Stay fat, y'all.
Is this satire?
8% of Earth's mass.
Her heart is begging for mercy.
If diabetes was a person.
The prevalence of obesity has been increasing in recent decades, and it is now estimated that 1 in 3 adults worldwide are overweight or obese. Stay safe.
Hi, I have ADHD and I didn't know that until like a few years ago. So yes, I do have a hard time regulating my emotions. Nice to meet ya. I don't understand what your point is. Anyone who has seen my past videos can conclude this too.
It has been hypothesized that obesity may lead to ADHD symptoms via sleep-disordered breathing.
And that is your burden, not everyone else's.
The cost of obesity is significant, with an estimated annual global cost of over $2 trillion.
I'm fat because I drink too much red wine and I don't exercise enough.
That's not true. You're not fat because of what you eat and how much exercise you do. That is the line that everybody is led to believe.
Left you now and ran up and down Leicester Square for 3 hours and then went home and had a piece of lettuce and then came in and did the same tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. I would start to look like a supermodel.
Only for a few months, and then you would stop. In fact, you would start regaining weight within the first year. That is a fact. That's not fiction. That is an absolute fact. And there is literally no evidence that weight loss is going to benefit anybody's health, whether they're a child or an adult. I'm willing to stake my medical career on the fact that that the lies that we've been sold about obesity, especially childhood obesity, are not true. They are there to benefit the weight loss industry, not to benefit children. Evidence is very clear. Up to 98% of people that attempt weight loss will have regained all the weight within 5 years. That is up to 98% of people, and that is absolutely unquestionable. Second thing, this idea that energy in and energy out and energy calorie deficits.
So you're telling me unlimited ice cream won't make me fat?
Giving themselves permission to fail. Yeah, none of my problems have ever been my fault either.
But if you lose even a small amount of weight, you'll reap benefits that will make a big difference in your health. The magic number is 5% of your total body weight.
Dude, put that thing away. There are like children here.
Went from lesbian to straight real fast.
Preventing obesity is the best way to reduce its burden on individuals and society.
That's next level obesity strats right there.
We need to create environments that support healthy eating and physical activity.
Hello, I am fat. I need clothes that are functional and cool. We don't make those in your size. Fuck you. I deserve nice clothes. I think I will start making them myself. We don't make patterns in your size. Fuck you. There aren't very many pattern companies that go up to my size, so I can't find what I need. I think I'll start pattern drafting. We don't make resources for fat people. Fuck you. Cool beans.
This sounds like a business opportunity.
I felt this on spiritual level.
Support from family, friends, and healthcare professionals is important for successful weight loss.
Hi, my name is Rosie, and I was groomed into feederism. Feederism is a kink, like a sexual kink regarding feeding someone generally for the purpose of them being fat or gaining weight. There's a big umbrella when it comes to feederism. And the thing about this guy is I think he was into what's called death feederism, and death feederism is what it sounds like. It's feeding someone to the point of getting so fat and so big that they die.
Feederism is a fat fetish subculture in which individuals eroticize weight gain and feeding. Feeders are individuals who claim to become sexually aroused by feeding their partners and encouraging them to gain weight.
Pathetic. We are at the point in our civilized society that this is a thing.
There are many resources available to help people lose weight and keep it off.
No, dirty. That's what a natural body look like. And if you don't like it, close your eyes and don't open them again. Next time you breathe, don't.
What do you mean natural body looks like that?
Hash must be something in the food. Definitely not natural, it was made. Hit the gym, the more weight you lose, the more feminine and less aggressive you will be. Good luck.
Making small changes to your diet and lifestyle can make a big difference in your weight loss journey.
I accidentally ordered 3 plates of chicken katsu. I was too shy to cancel, so I ate them all. I still felt hungry, so I got a healthy salad. This meal was after the gym, so the calories don't count. Stay skinny, besties.
Show us some footage of you in a gym for once.
I also accidentally being a skinny.
Don't give up on yourself if you have setbacks.
I often heed a lot of questions about self-love and body maintenance as a fat person. As fat people, we are constantly surrounded by media that erases our existence. Not only does that put us at a disadvantage with regards to body image, impacting the way we view ourselves and other fat folks, but it also means that we're deprived of so much education around our bodies and wellness as people who are living in non-normative bodies, because our needs are unique and maybe different than the needs of thin people. My answer when people come to me and ask me how I'm able to live such a full life in a fat body is always that we need to interrogate the media that we're consuming and to disrupt our mindless consumption of images and narratives that are put out there to keep us spiraling about the way that we look, instead of figuring out how to live our best lives in the bodies that we have today. I'm always looking for new sources of body diverse content that can help us see people doing the things that we do in bodies that look like ours. And one of those things is porn, because as fat people, we do have sex.
God loves you.
There is hope for a healthier future.
This is a village where being overweight is considered beautiful. Every woman here weighs over 200 pounds. If you're not over 200 pounds, you not only lose face, but also have trouble finding a spouse. Marrying a plump wife is every man's dream. Having a well-rounded wife not only brings prestige, but also signifies wealth and respect. In a village on Phuket Island, Thailand, there is a tradition where the fatter a woman is, the more beautiful she is considered. Plump women are not only adored by men, but can also be crowned as the village's beauty queen. To become the village beauty queen, women eat non-stop throughout the day, indulging in calorie-rich foods, and even if they feel stuffed, they won't move. Eating and sleeping is their secret to maintaining their perfect figures. Plump women are the pride of their families, and men here never let them do any work. Their favorite pastime is cooking delicious meals for their wives. The woman before us is the village's second-ranking beauty queen. She's proudly showing off her favorite pair of denim shorts. And to put it mildly, the waistband of these shorts can easily fit an underage elephant. But she's delighted because her weight has increased again. She says her greatest joy in life is eating and sleeping, all to make her husband proud.
Sometimes you're not fat, you're just in a wrong country.
I'll be the most beautiful.
This can somehow be explained, as long ago, in starving, poor communities, it would mean that fat person is rich, have access to food, security, etc.
I see no grandmas.
Obesity can have a significant impact on mental health, leading to increased risk of depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem.
Oh right, I forgot, I'm the problem. It sounds like they just shouldn't be a shit human being. But it's my fault for the people bullying me, and it's my fault for reading it. Even though I'd really have to read it to even delete or to block the comments. But it's my fault, right? I should just not read it. Or they could just not be a shit person and not treat fat people badly. But it's my fault, I forgot.
Genuinely, why come back to the internet if everyone disagreeing with you on this topic you see as harassment?
Obesity is a major risk factor for many chronic diseases, including heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and cancer.
That was sugar?
She twisted the life out of that mayonnaise bottle.
No vegetables were harmed in the making of this reel.
Is this keto?
What in the type 2 diabetes did I just fucking witness?
If you were to stack all the fat cells in the average overweight person, they would reach to the moon and back 10 times.
Nepal wasting state funds.
Oh yes, real woman, because the pretty girl behind her is not real. I don't get it. Where is she plus size? She looks normal size to me and absolutely beautiful.
Were rules changed or she just happened to win in Nepal and no rules ever existed? Curious. It's crazy to me that it's 2023 and we're still having firsts like this.
I had to actually pull over and answer this right now because there's so much discourse in my comments about whether or not Miss Nepal is plus size, so let's get into it. It depends on who you ask in the industry, but as someone that has 14 years of experience in the industry as a plus size model and someone in a larger body for most of her career, plus size starts at 12. If you want to ask people who are Delulu, they might tell you a size 8 or a 10, but then you're getting into what's considered a mid-size, but plus size really is a size US 12. Now, is Miss Nepal plus size? I don't know. I was just going by all of the articles that were calling her plus size, but regardless, I don't think that it's good to be one of those people that kind of picks apart whether or not she is actually plus size and trying to pick apart her size. I understand the frustration as folks that might be in larger bodies see someone that is smaller or curvy and think, well, she's not plus size, she doesn't represent me. I understand that. I definitely used to be one of those people very early in my career, and I'm sorry I'm talking fast. It's obviously something I'm very passionate about, but I just don't think that we should pick apart exactly what size she is, because plus size, curvy, whatever, it was definitely the first time that we were seeing someone with a curvier body type like that on the stage for Miss Universe. And also shout out to the 2 contestants that were trans as well. I think that that is absolutely iconic, and it's nice to see that things are shifting a little bit, hopefully. So I hope that clears it up, and let me know if you guys have any more questions. Let's just be happy for her, okay?
I just realized I'm no longer plus size and it makes me kind of sad. Not the commenter saying she looks normal size, or insinuating that plus size isn't beautiful.
Miss Universe 2023 preliminary swimsuit round. Contestant no. 1027 Jane Deepika Garrett.
It's good to see people being confident with what they actually are. She deserves to be the new Miss Universe. She is a real woman and represent what in a real woman in every country.
She deserves to win the Miss Buffet Universe, WTH.
Inclusivity was the core of this year's contest as it witnessed delegates from all over the world, of various gender identities, statuses and sizes. Amongst them all, it was Miss Nepal 2023 Jane Deepika Garrett that broke new ground, say the tabloids.
If you are obese, please don't ever let a doctor or a healthcare provider tell you that you need to lose weight before they investigate further a symptom that you're having. If they want to delay getting a lab or getting imaging or having you see a specialist, if they want to delay that because they say you need to lose weight first, you need to push back on that person, or you need to find someone else, because your health problems are not just blamed on your obesity or the amount of fat tissue that you have. You are allowed to have other health problems as well, and you deserve the respect and dignity of investigating those other symptoms as well.
One view may be, if you want your doctor to take you seriously, you should also take your health seriously.
I had a doctor write a letter a few months ago saying I was too fat and that why my feet was so swollen. Turns out it was dang high blood pressure meds.
Today, we're delving into a topic that many of fat acceptance activists preach: why most diets fail in the long run and, more importantly, how we can break free from this cycle and achieve lasting health. What do people not comprehend? I do not want to lose weight. I spent 15 years of my life dieting on and off, and I was fucking miserable. Oh no, I'm not going to harm myself again by going on a diet. No. Not wanting to lose weight and not wanting to go on a diet are completely different things.
Plus eating is life. I am miserable eating salads.
The
restrictive nature of many diets makes it challenging to sustain over the long term, leading to frustration and, ultimately, regaining lost weight.
You seriously can't be happy though, mate. Sorry, didn't get the rest of your comments. Why can't you be happy? Why can't you be happy and be big? Right? You can be, all sorts of things and still be happy. Your size and your image shouldn't define you as a person. It shouldn't tell you how to be or how to feel. You as a person should know how you feel. And I feel very happy right now. Do you know why? Because I'm succeeding at things, My son's having a great life. We've got a lovely house. We've got a lovely car. We've got money coming in. We're surviving. We're living. We're having fun. I've just come off of a BBC Three show. Like, my ultimate dream was to be an actor. And I'm still continuing to get acting jobs come through.
But what about overall well-being?
I'm going to Budapest soon to play a character in a new Netflix film as well. I'm going there 5 times, actually. It's a bit of a long one. But anyway, it's going to be an amazing experience, and it's an amazing opportunity for me to really get even further into where I want to be. I've had the opportunity to work with some of the most talented people in the comedy industry and TV industry in the UK. I've had the opportunity to be part of a successful TV show and achieve my dream of being on a BBC Three comedy. Because initially it was, I wanted to do something like Gavin and Stacey, James Corden vibe. That's what I was aiming for. That was my initial dream. So I feel like people assuming that I'm big and I'm unhappy because I'm big is incorrect.
What follows is not a fat acceptance thing.
I'm losing weight because I'm on a journey to have better health for future, because obviously everyone knows that you don't see fat people in, an old people's home. Like, it's just common sense. I'm not a fool. I'm not an idiot. I'm fully aware of that, and that's why I'm going to stop that from happening. I'm going to stop myself from putting myself at risk as I get older. I'm 29 years old, still fairly healthy. I mean, I've got no health conditions, no problems. So the point is that I'm on a journey to better myself. I'm succeeding at all the things that I want to achieve. And I've got everything that I want in life. At this current moment in time, I'm happy because I have everything that I want and what I've wanted in life. So that's what makes you happy, succeeding and achieving and having a good family and good support.
And a burger.
Big targets, and you achieve these big things that you've always wanted to do. That is what gives you happiness, and the money too. I mean, ultimately what I'm saying to you is that don't look at someone and just think that they're unhappy because they're overweight or they're disabled or they look different from everyone else, because you'd be more surprised to know that actually those people are probably more happy than what you are. Someone who's the perfect example of an attractive, good-looking human being can sometimes be more depressed and feel a lot worse inside than someone like myself who's overweight but still happy. You can never judge a book by its cover is what I'm getting at. So don't judge a book by its cover, and remember, these are the true words. I am happy, okay? And it's not a facade. I'm not acting. I'm not putting on a show. I'm genuinely happy in myself and my family, and I just want to improve my health long term.
If you were happy, you wouldn't spend your life trolling trolls.
Wait, he's on a weight loss journey. He's happy because he had a bucket of KFC waiting for him after the video. Bit of sweat under your chins there.
But if you're so happy with yourself, why are you on a weight loss journey?
Diets often rely on drastic changes that are hard to maintain. Rapid weight loss might occur initially, but the sustainability of these changes is often overlooked. Many diets create a short-term fix rather than a sustainable lifestyle change.
How will that fix it? Because guess what? I feel sexy at the size that I am now. Hello? My bills wouldn't be paying otherwise. But we live in a fat-phobic society. And I know not every fat person feels this way. That's why I've created my whole page, to help other fat people like themselves and not hate themselves because our fat-phobic society tells them to. So I don't know what you're talking about, because also, guess what? When I was thinner, when I was smaller and when people can assume or qualify it as me not being fat, guess what? Hated myself even more. Did not feel sexy. And guess what? I felt sexy when I accepted myself for who I am. And I did that at my biggest weight. So no, losing weight will not fix it. People lose weight all the time and are still fucked up in their head because the issues that they have to deal with, they didn't solve them up here. They just expected them to follow through with their body changes. And that's not how it works. If you don't fix this, nothing you do with your body will matter.
But the saying goes, a healthy mind in a healthy body.
The idea that thin equals healthy is such bullshit.
Mindset plays a crucial role. Viewing healthy eating as a punishment or a temporary measure can set us up for failure. It's about shifting our perspective from a short-term goal to a lifelong commitment to our well-being.
Content warning for dieting, weight loss, and eating disorders in this video. So to answer this question, there is kind of a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is no. What we know about lipedema is that any sort of just like setting out to lose weight, setting out to lose fat does not impact the lipedema tissue. That is to say that diet and exercise alone will maybe help you lose the regular fat tissue on your body, but the lipedema tissue and the subsequent pain, mobility issues, etc. are not impacted by regular weight loss. That being said, if the disorder goes untreated, you will continue to gain weight through both the disordered fat tissue and fluid retention.
Obesity and lymphedema are very much interlinked. If you are overweight, losing some weight will be beneficial for preventing and reducing all forms of lymphedema.
Because once you get to stage 4, that is lipolymphedema, which is the lipedema fat, disordered fat tissue, plus lymphedema, which is the pooling up of lymph fluid in the body. And lymphedema can, if left untreated, impact really the entire body, meaning that you gain even more additional weight. In my case, my flare-up began about 2.5 years ago, and in that time, I gained over 150 pounds. And in that time, I was eating a very normal amount of food and exercising quite a bit.
A normal diet couldn't get you here in the first place.
Which is why people say that lipedema is diet and exercise resistant. And it's also why people with lipedema are very, very prone to eating disorders, because we go a lifetime of eating normally and continually gaining weight. And because we continually gain weight, a lot of times we're like, oh, I must be overeating, so I'm going to eat less. And then when you still don't lose weight, then you eat less. You still don't lose weight, eat less. That is how eating disorders develop. All that being said, with proper treatment, weight loss will occur. Because with proper treatment, that excess fluid will get processed out of the body, and some of the lipedema tissue will also get broken down through targeted massage and can actually get reabsorbed into the body. And then of course, if you get the lipedema tissue surgically removed, that would also result in a weight loss. And what we know from anecdotal evidence is that if people have lipedema and they do either get weight loss surgery or they undergo some sort of fat loss situation, typically their pain may even worsen, at least from what I've heard. And the parts of the body that are impacted most by the lipedema will remain the size that they were prior to the weight loss. But most people who do attempt intentional weight loss with lipedema, whether they know they have it or don't, have a very difficult time with it. It is, I'm not going to say impossible, but it is just very, very difficult. And again, doesn't necessarily improve any of the symptoms being experienced.
Necessarily.
That being said, with proper treatment, as I said before, weight loss will occur. I got diagnosed at the end of May this year, probably around May 20th. At that point, I began treatment, and between then and today, I have lost over 100 pounds. But My clothes fit mostly the same. You wouldn't really know that I lost over 100 pounds because, one, it was not something that I intended to do. It's just how my body responded to the treatment, which makes a lot of sense because, as I said before, during the flare-up, I gained, over the course of 2.5 years, 150 pounds. So then with treatment, that weight, which was primarily fluid, was now and is now being processed out of my system. In the month of July, in my calves alone, 11 liters of fluid were processed out of my body. We know that because we took measurements at the beginning of July and we took measurements at the end of July. And there's a computer program that my lymphatic therapist used to calculate how many liters of fluid were moving out of my calves, and it was 11 liters. So really the too long didn't read is no, but weight loss can be a sign that treatment is working.
How do you get lipedema?
There are some interesting studies about low-carb, healthy keto diet having a positive impact on breaking down and losing lipofat. Worth looking into.
So, how do we break free from the diet cycle? It's about embracing a holistic lifestyle change. Instead of drastic, unsustainable measures, focus on small, gradual changes that you can maintain over time. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Small, sustainable changes lead to a healthier lifestyle that you can maintain for the long haul. In conclusion, let's ditch the diet mentality and embrace lasting health. It's not about a quick fix. It's about creating a life where well-being is a priority. Your health journey is uniquely yours, and every positive choice is a step towards a healthier, happier you.
For the millionth fucking time, just because a fat person exists does not mean that they want your unwanted and unsolicited health advice. Let me say it again. Fat people's existence, me existing, doesn't mean that we automatically want your unwanted and unsolicited health advice.
Leave fat people alone, damn it!
But this comment is clearly with good intention, not a hate. Don't be jealous.
For real, like a video on the internet does not equal consent. Your videos may be public, but that doesn't give them the right to give health advice.
Every step towards a healthier you is a step towards a brighter future.
Join me on a thought process I've had recently. When we make intentional weight loss the primary goal of bringing health-promoting behaviors into our life, oftentimes that goal becomes a barrier to those very same behaviors. And this is not me saying that you shouldn't want to lose weight or whatever. I don't care what you do with your own body. And the calories in, calories out people, you need to leave. You probably have Chem 2 homework that you should be doing. Leave me alone. Way more complicated than that. What I'm actually saying is when I hear someone say they want to get healthy, lose weight, they start exercising more, eating more nutritiously, prioritizing sleep, drinking their water, blah, 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 and they don't see the weight loss goal that they had set up for themselves, so they stop doing all of those behaviors. Now the goal has become a barrier to all of those health-promoting behaviors. The goal can just be doing those behaviors. You may or may not see weight loss as a result, but science supports your health outcomes will improve regardless of what the scale does. Then you got to ask yourself, did I want to get healthy or did I just want to get small?
Can it be both?
I have said to my naturally thin MIL that I would need to become less healthy to lose weight intentionally. I told my similar mill that you can't force a collie to be a chihuahua, ya gotta appreciate each for their own. I'm a Saint Bernard. It's fine.
Celebrate every small victory on your journey to a healthier you. Progress, no matter how small, is a triumph worth acknowledging.
No Nuance November. Every single time a movie, a television show, or a play has used a fat suit on a thin actor, they would have gotten a better performance had they hired an actual fat actor.
How would you know? Are you maybe a casting director? Your health is an investment, not an expense. Make choices today that your future self will thank you for.
I seriously recommend turning comments off.
I've been getting this advice for years, and guess what? No. Like, no. I understand you're not coming from an asshole place, but no. Again, I shouldn't have to censor the space and the community I've created online just to not get abused, just to not get harassed, just to get not shat on by fucking other people. I'm not the problem. I'm tired of fucking changing for other fucking people. I am not the problem here. Other people's fat phobia is the problem. Other people's unwanted advice is the problem. I don't need to change. They need to change. And I'm not going to censor myself and my community because guess what? Turning the comments off, it harms me, harms my videos, and it harms my community of the people who actually want to comment and who I want to engage with. So thank you, but no, I'm not the problem here.
Turn off your comments as take up less room with different words.
Choosing health isn't about conforming to societal standards. It's about respecting your body and giving it the care it deserves.
Some of y'all make no fucking sense. In one breath, you will tell fat people to only eat salads, to eat less food, and to eat more veggies. And then when said fat person dies, y'all are like, oh my god, why are you grilling lettuce? Why are you eating the lettuce like that? Why are you sauteing the lettuce? Isn't it soggy? Is that still crunchy? Why are you eating it like that? So which one is it?
Why are you talking like that?
That's my I think you're stupid voice, Mom. You know that. So which one is it, folks? You tell me to eat more lettuce, you tell me to eat more vegetables, and then I do, and then you're fucking upset about it. So make up your mind, people. Make up your mind, or how about we just stop commenting on what people eat? I like that one the best. My fucking god.
So stop commenting what others comment.
What a perfect example of weaponized incompetence. Try raw, boiled, or steamed veggies, Sherlock.
Losing weight isn't about fitting into a mold. It's about freeing yourself from the burdens that excess weight can bring. Choose freedom. Choose health.
No one is glorifying obesity. Everyone is glorifying thinness. People keep telling me all the time how beautiful I am now that I'm a size 2. It's like, oh, I wish I was that skinny. How did you do it? No one was telling me, oh, I wish I was fat like you when I was a size 18. Stop saying people are glorifying obesity. We're all glorifying thinness to the point of making people sick.
What is this logic?
Become fat and crush the patriarchy, sis. No one is stopping you. Why you let men keep you down?
She may have a medical reason for her weight loss. Either way, it's none of your business and you shouldn't assume.
Fun fact. People with less than a high school degree have the highest obesity rate.
Good morning. It's been a minute. Let's get ready for swim class. My message for today is that you still need to take care of yourself. I've been seeing some videos from my mutuals about how over the past month and a half, they have been not taking care of themselves as well as they normally do, which makes sense. It makes sense. And I just want to remind you that as we continue fighting for a better world, you still have to eat. You still have to drink water. You still have to take care of your disabilities, your medical care. We need to keep ourselves at baseline so that we can continue fighting.
Fighting what?
Fighting for the world that we want to see, the world that we want to live in. And my ability to make this video is only because of the immense privilege that I hold. Not just globally right now or for my entire life, but like my ability to get medical care at all in our country is because of my immense privilege. These fights have been going on much longer than I have been alive, let alone cognizant and able to speak on them, let alone speak on them on the internet. But I can only speak for myself, knowing that I have been invested in these fights for long enough to know that like letting yourself go beyond your capacity to the point where you can no longer fight doesn't help anybody. I'm going to share this post from the collectress that really helped me rethink some things about the way that I have been mobilizing. And I think it's important for everyone to continually assess how you are treating your body and to continually ask yourself what you need to do to remain engaged, to remain active, to remain fighting. And then I'm also going to share this post that talks about ways to mobilize for Palestine specifically, but these things are kind of relevant for any justice movement that you're a part of as a disabled person. I love you.
Fighting obesity should be your goal. Fighting diabetes, fighting diseases.
OMG, I love that cow bathing suit, it's so cute. Where did you get it? Your waist is so shrinking.
Fun fact. The overall obesity rate increases for older age groups until the age of 60.
So I just want to say one thing that's very frustrating and annoying as a fat person is experiencing a lot of bullshit and discrimination and all this stuff, and then people saying that's never happened to you. Like, come on.
They think we are all lying and making this stuff up.
Fun fact. The government should have forced cheese companies to put pictures of obese people on their packaging, in the same way regulators require cigarette makers to put disgusting pictures related to smoking on cigarette packages.
One thing we can always count on from celebrities is that they will stay out of touch, because what is this? Last time I checked, Emrata wrote a book about body positivity and female empowerment. And I would venture to say that this is accomplishing the opposite of this. Even if it doesn't trigger you, or even if it doesn't bother you, do you think that that is aligned with the message that she wants to send? I want to know how this got through the creative director, her and her team, especially considering that one of the main complaints from the fashion industry about why they cannot accommodate for sizes outside of the typical range is that it's too hard to make or too complicated, and yet here they are, providing it to someone that doesn't need it. And what's the intention for Emily of posing in a pair of pants that we know that she has never worn? What message is she trying to send? Plus, this post is in fact still up at this point in time.
My body size is not a joke. Like, that's so sad to see this is still happening in 2023.
Does someone on her team dislike her?
Obesity is a real disease that can be rooted in the brain.
There's nothing wrong with my body. Fat is not a dirty word. If my body tells me something, I will make sure it is heard. If my body is a vessel, I will give it what it needs.
Fun facts. Keeping weight off long term is difficult, and a lot of it is due to hormones. Curbing carbohydrates can help with weight management.
Americans gain 8 to 10 pounds during holidays. Don't let that be you.
I don't know whether to blame Orange Theory Fitness or the ignorant girls making this video, but the level of discrimination in this messaging is a crying shame. Let us count the ways. Number 1, the thin character knocks the donut out of the fat character's hand. The intent here is to shame and expose the character's perceived moral flaw, and presumably encourage her to stop eating, so she can free herself of the weight she put on at Christmas. It goes without saying, no one has ever responded to food shaming by saying, yeah, I feel so encouraged now that I've been demoralized and deprived. But beyond that, this policing of food choices is what people do to fat folks all the time, and it's got to stop. Then the obviously thin girl comedically wearing a fat suit is a total power move disguised as comedy. Dear thin people, by mockingly portraying a fat body, we dehumanize fat folks and reinforce the stereotype that they are inferior. By supremacizing her thinness, she reinforces the idea that fat folks should be mocked and ridiculed, and implies that looking thin like her instead is morally superior. Listen, movement is a great thing, and everyone deserves to feel welcome without conditions. But those spaces become hostile when ignorant a-holes like this hold their bodies up as pinnacles of success.
And adding to it the fat suit issue is that the suit is a sumo wrestler suit, which also is not good.
I think that girl was afraid of even touching that donut with her mouth. This whole thing is terrible.
Throughout this video, we're delving into one of the most talked about diets, the ketogenic diet, or as many call it, the keto diet. Stick around as we break down the science behind ketosis and explore the pros and cons of the keto diet.
And I hate waking up because of how hard and painful it is being in this body now. I can't really lay down anymore, you know? I can't breathe if I do, because my weight pushes the air out of my body. So I started sleeping in my chair, but I hate that because it means that I can't sleep by my wife Amber anymore. She's usually gone by the time I get up. She's a school teacher and so am I. I teach theater, but I've been on medical leave for a while now. Because of how hard it is for me to get around at the size I'm at. I'm at a point now where it's painful to do anything. I think other people take for granted the ability to just move, you know, and not be in pain all the time. Like, I'm constantly in pain even sitting. Go use the restroom. But the dogs, if I don't let them out, then they'll have accidents around the house. I won't be able to clean it up. So I push myself to let them do what they need. Grandma house, let's go. But after that, I have to get to where I can rest as soon as possible. And I already want to go back to bed. But in the morning, I have to get clean.
I haven't worked because I've been on medical leave for a while now? Why do these people lie his fat ass hasn't worked for years?
Do you think that the system is supporting this lifestyle? Let's take a moment to appreciate the delicious array of foods that make up the keto diet. From avocados to bacon, it's a diet that challenges conventional wisdom about what's good for us.
Binge eating is when someone eats a large amount of food in a short period of time. A lot of people use binge eating to cope with their emotions. Everybody has things that they struggle with, but for most people, you can't see what it is just by looking at them. I also understand that it might seem confusing since it looks like I'm eating all of this yummy food. When you eat so much to the point of feeling sick or actually getting sick, it's a horrible disorder I wouldn't wish on anyone, so.
It's crazy cause part of my doesn't even want the food, but I still am gonna eat it.
That's so real. I literally have sat crying in my car eating 30 worth of Taco Bell alone before I got home asking myself why when I don't want it.
It's called self-control, it's not a disorder.
The keto diet is designed to induce a metabolic state called ketosis, where your body shifts from using carbohydrates for energy to burning fat. This process leads to the production of ketones, which become the primary fuel source.
Have you noticed that in the last year, all your favorite celebrities are appearing skinnier than they ever have before?
Yes, absolutely I have. And as a dietitian who practices from a weight-inclusive, weight-neutral lens, this is absolutely terrifying, and let me tell you why. I have had multiple clients in the past few weeks who actually need this medication, it's called Ozempic, for their health, who are unable to get it because it's being overprescribed for things like this. For aesthetic purposes, for people who just desire losing weight, who don't actually need the medication to manage their health. And this is a perfect example of how fatphobic our society is and how people feel so much pressure to shrink their bodies and look a certain way, even going so far as to take a life-altering medication.
How would you decide who needs it and who don't?
Blame pharma for not producing enough, not people for bettering their quality of life.
You should educate yourself on the other reasons someone may have been prescribed this, such as hormonal imbalances, PCOS, metabolic disorders, obesity.
So why are doctors prescribing it?
Many people turn to keto for weight loss, improved mental clarity, and increased energy levels. Some even claim it helps manage conditions like epilepsy and type 2 diabetes.
Being 15 and around 350, I didn't really try to make friends. I kept to myself, and after school, I just go home and eat. When you get upset, you reach for that ice cream, you know? And I can finish ice cream like nobody's business. But things did get a little better toward the end of high school. That's when I fell in love with theater. It was theater that made me feel like I could be who I wanted to be. I still to this day think that my theater teacher in the high school level was probably one of the ones that helped get me through. It was around the same time when I found out my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And ironically, at that time, I was playing a cancer patient while my mom was going through the cancer treatment. So it allowed me to really deal with it in a safe place. I chose a college based on theater. I was still eating a lot and gaining. And by the time I graduated, I was around 450 pounds. But immediately after I graduated, I got a job at a high school in Longview. And that's where I met my wife, Amber.
From the first time I saw Nathan, I could see what made him special. He's a great person. He is an amazing theater director. He is an amazing teacher. And having similar backgrounds with food was something I saw as a positive back then. And that was one of the things that I was attracted to, was the idea that he would be a partner for me to keep focusing on my journey with.
You want a cheese stick?
No, thank you. But shortly after we got married, Nathan went to a doctor to try and get weight loss surgery.
So I actually got approval for surgery because I had lost enough weight and I didn't have the copay. And so they canceled my surgery. And I guess at that point I was like, forget it. I'm done. I'm just eating however I want to.
You want a bite? Last bite of sweets?
Sure.
That's when all of his motivation went by the wayside really quickly.
I guess I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I know that disappointed Amber a lot because she didn't hide her disappointment in me at all when I started gaining again.
She has no room to talk.
Adapting to the keto lifestyle can be tough initially, leading to what's commonly known as the keto flu. It's important to monitor your nutrient intake and stay hydrated to avoid potential pitfalls.
Let me make something abundantly clear to you right now. My desirability will always come into question. I will always go to the headspace of wondering how lovable and fuckable I am because I grew up a fat person who felt completely undesirable my whole life. I hate to come on here in such an emotional state, but it's something that I have to just come to terms with. And feeling a lack of desirability in a world that teaches us that our desirability is the one thing we have to give has put me in situations which I wish I was never in. I have made choices from the feeling of lack of desirability that I wish I could take away with every fiber of my being. I've been a version of myself that has been so small and so beaten down and ended up with people who should never have had access to me because I was always searching for the feeling of desirability. The reason why I feel so compelled to be on the internet and just show the complexities of living in a fat body is because I would do anything in my power to make it so nobody ever had to feel this. It's hard enough being a woman, especially a woman that grew up in the 90s where it seemed like this was at an all-time high. Not to say that previous generations didn't get it really bad, but like, I lived through the Britney Spears era, and we were taught if you weren't fuckable, you had nothing. So desirability is something that keeps coming back into my life. It keeps rearing its ugly head, and I keep facing it and cowarding over how big it feels. But instead of living in the shame of feeling like I can't tell people how much I struggle with this, it's just not working anymore. I'm 36, I'm going to be 37 years old next year, and I don't want to live like this anymore. I was telling my friend this today, and all she could say was, please don't let this be your story. Please do not let this be your story. And I'm trying really hard because, God, is it ever hard? Is it ever hard to do something different in the face of that fear? But I'm trying to understand that desirability isn't the only thing that's at play here. As a person, I have often felt many times over that who I am is just not someone who's worthy of love. And I don't know how, at times, to feel like I am. And maybe now is one of those moments I just don't. All I know is that I have this voice that I was given, and I have this platform somehow. And maybe, just maybe, in tackling this publicly, I can feel so much less alone. Because I don't want to live like this anymore. And I don't think anyone deserves to live like this. We deserve better.
Live like what?
You'll make all these speeches and won't hit the gym.
I spend an average of 14 to 16 hours a week at the gym. I'm still fat. You obviously have no clue that you're talking about.
The million-dollar question. Is the keto diet right for everyone? The keto diet isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's essential to consider your individual health goals, lifestyle, and any underlying health conditions before diving in.
When we'd go to eat, I physically was getting ill from watching him eat. He would eat his food. He would eat an appetizer. We would have a dessert. He would eat my leftovers, and it would make me just absolutely just disgusted. When Nathan decided he didn't want to try and lose weight anymore, I told him I was disgusted with what he was doing, and I basically told him he was an embarrassment. I'm driving to the grocery store because that's what me and Dad needed to do.
I want to be off experiencing things with my family, but I can't because of my size. And now I feel like grocery shopping is the only thing that me and Amber really have left together. And it's the only thing we do together aside from eating. And if you took eating and food out of our relationship, we wouldn't have anything left now, really. Damn carts. Thank God.
Yeah. Ow, ow. For 3 years, Nathan's health has not allowed us to completely do those things that we enjoy. And our relationship is very strained because of the amount of care that I have to give him. And I miss being able to have, I guess, an intimate relationship, not like a sexual relationship, because Nathan and I have never. That's not what it's about, but just like being able to spend quality time with each other where it doesn't involve care. That's what I want that we don't have anymore. And I'm very scared I'm going to be just like Nathan, I would say within the next 4 to 5.
Isn't she a bitch?
Ma'am? I'm confused. The kettle calling the pot black.
No mirrors in your house?
If you're thinking about trying the keto diet, here are some tips for success. Plan your meals. Focus on whole foods, and don't forget to consult with a healthcare professional before making any significant dietary changes.
What I eat in a day is a fat bitch. Let's go. So the night before, a bitch had too much liquor, you know what I mean? So I woke up this morning sick as hell. So I couldn't even put cream cheese or salami or nothing on the bagel, bitch. It was a plain bagel and some water. Then I already had the liquor shits, so I got a small coffee on the way out of town because I was gonna shit myself. Then we went to Texas Roadhouse for lunch, and you knew a bitch had to get the cinnamon fucking butter and rolls and fuck. Okay, then we got cheese fries, because what does a fat bitch look like not eating cheese fries? And Texas Roadhouse's ranch is the best. Argue with someone else, because I don't know what to tell you.
You don't have OCD. You have obesity.
Bruh.
Okay, thank you.
Daily calorie needs range from 1,600 to 2,400 calories per day for adult women, with the low ends of the ranges being for sedentary people and the high ends for those who are active.
This is just sad.
This is what a fat girl eats in a day 35. If you don't like seeing a fat person stuff their face with food, scroll away now. So I had crumpets for breakfast, and whilst they were in the toaster, I made myself an iced coffee. I used one of these sachets because I could not be asked to make actual coffee. You're only meant to add water, but I feel like it's just too watered down, so I also added some milk too. Gave it a quick stir, and by the time that was done, my crumpets were ready. So I whacked some butter on both of them, and then I also added cheese on top of one of them. Listen, don't come at me. If you haven't tried cheese on a crumpet, try it and then come back to me. Anyways, I skipped lunch because I had to go make some content, but when I got back I made Nando's chicken for me and my sister. We also had rice, mash and asparagus with it. Honestly, one of my favourite dinners, hands down. And then I've actually been craving eclairs, so I brought myself chocolate eclairs, and there's me just munching on it after dinner. Yes, I'm scoffing my face, and what? Anyways, that's it. Come back for tomorrow. Love ya!
This is actually very low.
What? You don't even eat a lot. I'm way younger than you and I eat more than you.
What I eat in a day as a fat person. For breakfast, I had this sushi bowl that I bought at Publix. I think it had salmon in it, but it was really good. Then I got an iced vanilla latte with almond milk from Scooters. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I got the large, but I only drank half. Then I made this taco salad, and it was so good. It had salsa, sour cream, some nacho cheese protein chips. Oh my gosh, I loved it. Then for a snacky poo, I had some pineapple. I also had jerky, but I didn't film it. And then I ended the day with a literal plate of rotisserie chicken.
This does not make you fat.
She lit eats less than me.
Things I hate as a fat person. Number one has to be those little, like, connected chairs at schools. Hello? So many straight-sized people complain about them, too, so. Number two is glasses, because, okay, the frames are never, like, wide enough, and they're always, like, splaying out the little arms. Number three is shopping at the grocery store, because we're all here to get food. But how come I'm the problem here? I just feel like all fat people, when they're going to the grocery store, are just like, people are looking at you and judging you, no matter what you get. If you get fruits and veggies, you're on a diet. If you don't, then that's why you're fat. And fourth is concert seating, because, oh my god, they are the narrowest things. They are, like, narrower than plane seats. They're, like, literally, and they're always, like, at, like, the highest peak. Like, it's, like, almost a 90-degree angle of walking up to sit there. It's like, are you wanting people to fall down? This is, like, actively discriminatory.
Actively?
The glasses one confuses me. Do you mean sunglasses? Because prescription ones are fitted to your face.
Why would seats be abnormally wide just because some people are?
Hi, can I get a belt extender?
Where are you located?
3A.
I'll bring it.
Okay, thank you.
So what, you waited a little?
The belt is not the problem.
There is another solution.
Was this not a sign?
The only thing bothering me here is that you didn't say please.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't just make the seatbelts bigger across the board. It's ridiculous.
Wouldn't it be easier to just buy your own and have a guarantee that you'll have one every flight?
This woman has nothing to apologize for. She was polite and patient.
Hi everyone, and welcome to my What I Eat in a Day. So for my breakfast, I got a McDonald's breakfast. I had a double sausage and egg McMuffin, 2 hash browns, and a sour cream and chive dip. And then a little bit later on, when I was at Paige and Portia's Morris dancing practice, I had a Twix and a cold can of Coke. A Twix extra, should I say, just in case anyone wants to hate on me for that. And then when I got home, I had some tea. Now, this was an elite tea, if I do say so. Toast, spaghetti, sausages, and very, very burnt bacon. Don't come at me, that's how I like my bacon. And at the minute, I am loving spaghetti hoops. Call me a 5-year-old, I do not care. Then I had a brownie cake, and it was an Oreo brownie. It was very delicious. I got changed in my pyjamas, and I had some Ferrero Rochers as well whilst I was watching some telly. Love you all.
Understandable that this is a trend, but should we be proud of what we eat?
Easily 6,000 calories she's smashed there, but the enablers will all be. That's a normal amount.
Where's the rest? There's no way there was just that.
Fat is not a body type. Humans are not supposed to be fat. We all have the same skeleton. It's an eating disorder, a food addiction.
Oh god, where to begin? Okay, so first of all,
we all have the same skeleton. Okay, so we don't all have the same skeleton. That's why there are height differences in humans, because some people have tall skeletons and some people have short skeletons. Now, if your point, which is what I think you were trying to say, which is that we're actually all made up of the same stuff, and therefore if we're all made up of the same stuff, then there shouldn't be fatness because we should just treat our bodies as they should be treated, you're really neglecting like all of the different nuances that our human bodies have. So like, for example, genetics, right? We're all made of the same stuff. So me and you, we both have eyes, we both have a nose, and we both have a mouth, but they look different. You know why? Genetics, they look different. How our bodies manifest is different. So that genetics can feed into like all sorts of things. It could feed into like, for example, hereditary conditions. It could feed into how fast or slow our metabolism is. For example, have you ever met someone who just seems to be able to eat whatever they want and never gain weight? And we always say, gosh, they have a fast metabolism, or they're naturally thin or naturally slender.
What is the caloric difference between a fast and slow metabolism? Vast majority of human race fits inside 200 to 300 kilocalories difference.
Have you ever thought maybe the inverse is true? That maybe some people are born with slow metabolisms and therefore they gain weight super easy and they find it really hard to lose weight. And there might be a term for that. We might call it naturally fat. Okay. There's also like internal organs, like how our internal organs work is different person to person. For example, some people are intolerant or allergic to certain types of food groups, and some people aren't, because all of our bodies are different. And maybe those factors have a influence on how we store, gain, keep, carry weight. So if your point is we're all made of the same stuff, I guess you're right to a certain extent, but how that stuff is all plugged in together is different. And therefore that's why we have a range of body types and sizes and heights. Like, that's why. It's really not hard to grasp. I hope you've enjoyed my biology lesson.
Even if we accept everything you said, at the end of the day it comes down to what we put in our mouth.
To dumb it down for you, go look at some photos of newborn babies. They're all different sizes.
I do agree with what you're saying, but people have to adapt to each thing their body does. Some have to eat less or more to help themselves.
Genuine question, what about the extremes at both ends? For example, someone who is extremely underweight, is that natural? Not trying to be rude.
If you're huge, you gotta have enough money to buy food to get to that size. If you're truly poor, you do not have enough money to feed yourself.
If we were to take this comment at face value, I think most of us can see where it's fundamentally flawed. If this were true, then there would be no poor fat people. But a simple look around reality, the one that we all share, seems to point that that is not the case. That there are fat people of all socioeconomic backgrounds. There are poor fat people, there are middle-class fat people, there are rich fat people. It's almost as though there are other factors that come into play that determine whether or not a person is fat or not, than just eating a lot of food. That's the stereotype. And it's the safe stereotype that we all like to believe, because we like to believe that we have control over that. That I could never be as fat as that person because I have self-control and I would never let myself eat that much. Let me just ignore genetics or other factors that may or may not play a part. It's just this. And that's taking that comment at face value. In reality, what this comment is trying to find an excuse to continue to hold an anti-fat bias, to continue to be fat phobic, to continue to make fun of and treat fat people poorly. That's all this is. That is all it is. But even if it wasn't, it's just factually incorrect.
If we're just going by foods making you fat, simple carbohydrates are super cheap, my dude. And those turn to basically sugar in your system. Ask a diabetic.
Very interesting thing one of our subscribers once said, how's eating 3,000 calories cheaper than eating 2,000 calories?
There is a big weight loss trend happening right now. as there kind of always is. So I wanted to hop on and say you don't have to join them. You don't have to join people in shrinking their bodies in pursuit of an arbitrary beauty standard. It's not sustainable, and there are much, much better ways to pursue health than just shrinking your body. And if you are wanting to pursue thinness in pursuit of beauty, really examine and interrogate where these standards come from. A lot of it has rooting in white supremacy, and be really aware of who you're excluding in that pursuit of beauty. Thinness is not the be-all end-all. It is not an indicator of living a great life. Being fat does not mean you are going to live a bad life, or a life that is in any way less good than a thin person, outside of systemic discrimination. If we continue to fight these biases and fight against these arbitrary standards, they will begin to crumble, and they already have.
Why would someone wish all society be fat?
Yes, size doesn't necessarily correlate with health.
Okay, thank you. I don't like how this video is painting all of these companies out to be bad and to villainize them for not having a product in their store that people are not buying. Now, I will say I'm glad that this creator was respectful to the employees that she was talking to. But the reason these companies are pulling these sizes from their stores or don't have them physically in store is not because the companies are fat phobic or because they have something against people who are overweight. It's because the need for these products is not big enough to warrant buying them in bulk and shipping them to their stores. And while America is getting bigger, the need for sizes above things like XXL represents a very, very small group of people. Their solution, rather than taking a loss, is saying, okay, well, they can order them online. But for some reason, that is not enough. Rather than getting on social media and villainizing companies while victimizing yourself, why don't we talk about the actual solutions to the problem you have encountered? Option 1, order your clothes online. Option 2, wait for Americans to get bigger, because we are, to the point where these companies won't lose money if they carry these sizes in store. Option 3, take a look in the mirror and see how you can develop healthier habits to get yourself out of this situation. None of these options here should include expecting a company to take a loss for you just because you don't like the solutions that were presented. Now look, I know everybody is on their own health journey and it doesn't happen overnight, but playing the victim only stops you from being able to take accountability for the actions that got you here in the first place.
But isn't most of this true?
Everyone has the right to their opinion. Keep doing you. Lol, it's always the dudes who are gym rats that have a problem. Shut up, hit the gym, and mind your business. I've also heard it's the gym rats who prefer the plus-sized partners. Interesting.
Eat him up, Samira. Who is he defending? Mass oppressors.
Let me get rid of all these excuses and find out who the fuck I am.
Surprising fact. Stress can make it harder to fall asleep.
I do agree that there is stigma that I have to deal with because I am fat, but I'm actually really in celebration of my body. I find beauty in diversity. I think we come in all shapes and sizes. And the assumption that we've dealt with a lot on this show is that just because you're obese, you must overeat. You must have an eating disorder. I know that not to be the case. I know you can have a healthy relationship.
Now, Mimi, you say this is misleading. Go have at it a little bit.
Well, I certainly think that we all want to feel good about ourselves. That's understandable. I don't think people should feel demeaned by their size. And I also couldn't agree more with the message of daily exercise. No matter what size you are, you'll certainly benefit from daily exercise. You can't be healthy without that. But then let's talk about where we disagree. Look, if you want to feel good about yourself, it's impossible to feel good about yourself when you're doing something that's self-destructive. Also, self-destructive behaviors that result in damage or debilitation or even disfigurement to the body, that's never going to be perceived as beautiful.
The thing is that I think that the Hayes approach, the health at every size approach, has been documented to work. And it's been documented to work year after year.
What do you mean work? What do you mean work? Because a health at every size is a lie. If you starve yourself into damage, that's unhealthy. Or if you eat yourself into damage, that's not healthy.
You're making a lot of assumptions.
That's just not,
here,
that's not true.
You're making
that's
a
like
lot of
saying,
assumptions
that's like saying
about
that,
weight
let's
being
say you were a smoker. Let's say you're a smoker and have black lungs, and you try to say that's healthy because you don't have cancer yet. We know that it is actually factual that obesity is dangerous, and it's connected to cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's. We even know it's connected to an increase in birth defects. So there's nothing left to debate.
Mimi?
It's not beautiful. It's not healthy.
I think you need to separate the idea of weight from healthy behavior.
Yes.
Now, I have students that when they come to me, when they start my class, they can barely walk from the car to my class. And over the course of a year, I'll take them from that point to working out 3+ hours
There's
per
your class
week.
now.
Right.
I mean, but that's a massive improvement. I mean,
Right.
that's no longer people with medical issues. Those are people you've taken and improved them.
But they haven't necessarily lost a lot of weight. Some of them have lost no weight, and they've had these medical improvements, and they've had these life improvements, these life freedom improvements, without losing weight.
Fat acceptance, the only movement that requires no movement at all.
We come in all shapes and sizes. Me. Laughs in trapezoid.
So glad I was born a pentagon.
Life is like a box of chocolates, it don't last too long for fat people.
Camera guy is like, I'm zoomed out all the way, sorry.
Stop being the fucking parasite. No longer is there a free ride for your ass. Get the fuck out.
Fact. Exercise boosts brain performance.
I actually find this comment funny because the whale was written by a thin person who was fat for a little while, who is clearly absolutely terrified about the prospect of being an adult who is fat and cannot be thin. The entire story of the whale is about the terror and the horror of being fat. People are 100% not afraid of fat people, but afraid of becoming a fat person. And part of that is because they know how they treat fat people, and they don't want to be treated that way. Fat phobia is real, my friend. Look into it.
Put your body in motion. You will remain in motion. Not just in the gym, but outside of the gym. Your mind's in motion. Everything's in motion. And when everything's in motion, what happens? You give birth to new opportunities.
Fun fact. Enjoying some sunshine in the mornings may help you lose weight.
Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy. And I am 100% glorifying obesity. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Bro is on his 3rd year of pregnancy.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Heart attack. Let me introduce myself.
Bro's gonna unlock diabetes type 3.
Bad as it feels, it's a fucking hell of a lot better of a feeling than a life where you throw the towel in. That's something you never recover from. When the towel's down in life, there's no morals, man. You throw it in.
Fact. Adequate sleep reduces your risk of many diseases.
I'm really nervous because this is so random. It's like a little cucumber boat. What ties it all together is the bacon.
Being fit is the only fucking option.
Fun fact. Laughing impacts blood sugar.
Just because I'm fat, that doesn't invalidate the things that I say.
Even for weight loss tips?
Inaccurate opinion, sorry.
When is it ever going to be the ideal situation for you to run your course or start your action or pursue your endeavor? It's never going to be this perfect storm of opportunity for you to say, okay, this is the time. It's never going to broadcast it and highlight it for you. It starts when you put one foot in front of the other.
Fact. Drinking 5 glasses of water may reduce your chance of having a heart attack.
Oh my gosh. I didn't use butter, didn't use oil. I just used water. to cook this. That's just how I prefer.
No water and oil, but you can feed a whole army.
You can do that, man. When you start seeing the future, you're willing to sacrifice today for that kind of opportunity to mature into a reality, man, you're really thinking the right way.
Fact. Taking deep breaths can improve overall health and circulation.
If you are losing weight because you want to feel better, be in less pain, be healthier, all of these things, that's fatphobic, okay?
So why should I lose weight? To fight Kratos?
The question, the debate inside your head. What could I have been? Could I have been more in life?
Fact. Sugar is as bad for your health as cigarettes.
Diet culture keeps women on a hamster wheel in the attempt to achieve the perfect body, but it doesn't exist, and let me prove it to you. 1950s, Marilyn Monroe's curves were seen as the perfect body, and women were even encouraged to put on weight. Don't put on too much weight, because in the 1960s, thin was in thanks to Twiggy. Then in the 1970s, people wanted to be busty like Farrah Fawcett, but still have that flat stomach. 1980s, year of the supermodel, so we saw women be a little bit more muscular rather than skinny and thin. 8, stop that gym membership, because in the 1990s, thin was definitely back, especially with people saying that nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Eye roll. Don't get too thin, because in the 2000s we had Britney come out flashing her abs, so we went back to looking a little bit muscular. See the pattern here? Last but not least, 2010s. Everybody wants a bigger butt thanks to Kim Kardashian. Who can keep up?
But no one is fat.
One thing didn't change. Everyone needs a flat stomach.
About more. It's not about the quantity. It's the quality. Just like in the gym, guys, when you're lifting reps and stuff.
Fact. Regular exercise helps you sleep better.
Let's talk about how men treated me while I was fat. I wouldn't fucking know because they didn't interact with me. Here is a picture of me from 4 years ago when I was plus sized. Throughout my entire college career, I was in a plus size body. It's pretty ironic because a lot of people's college years are their hottest years. I think I look fucking amazing all the goddamn time, but to the general public, I was fat, which made me unattractive. Especially to college age men. When I tell you they didn't interact with me, I'm not joking. At that point in my life, I would feel lucky if a man even looked in my direction. Typically, they would just turn their heads and pretend like I didn't exist. Coming of age as a plus-size woman and seeing all of your friends be flirted and hit on by men, and in turn being treated like a second-class citizen, fucked me up. And I think that experience has really impacted how I view my self-worth and dating. I don't know, there's just so much I could say on the subject. Point being, when you're fat, men will not look in your direction until they're fat too.
So force people to like you?
At my heaviest I weighed 230. I swear I got guys easier when I was heavy. Harder now that I'm 133 pounds.
Yeah, life's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's no quick fix to a long-term situation.
Lack of sleep can kill someone sooner than starvation.
How old were you when you learned, and I've learned this last week, so it's okay if you don't know it yet, but how old were you when you learned that, like, the second boob area here, you know how, like, some fat people have this going on? This kind of, like, the boob and the second boob area? That is from sucking in your stomach. Likely all through your childhood and teens. That is from walking around, sucking it in all the time. That's how that happens. That's why that's there on your body. Fuck.
This cannot be right.
Anyone else find it physically uncomfortable to fully relax their stomach muscles? The weight just hanging does not feel good. It's because the muscles are literally scarred into place. It's real and the pain makes sense.
I suck it in but flex the stomach muscles to prevent that.
Obesity fact. China and the US have the highest numbers of obese adults.
That's because fat phobia actually isn't about patriarchy or women. It's about hierarchy. The reason that people, and specifically men, are so threatened by plus size women, like literally existing or doing anything or asking for anything, like for example, not to be treated like absolute shit, is because they cannot handle the disruption of the black and white, good and evil, like moral world that they believe that they live in. Because if one thing is destabilized, everything could be destabilized. And yeah, they probably do genuinely believe that like bad health shouldn't be promoted, whatever. They think that's what they really believe. They think their issue is that they can't stand to see ill health being promoted. But of course, ill health is promoted all the time by literally models who are probably not eating or doing drastic things or having plastic surgery to look skinnier. And they don't have an issue with that. It's the hierarchy. It's the black and white, good and evil of fat people are bad and should be bullied. And we get off on the power trip of bullying them. And they do not want that taken away.
Plastic surgery to look skinnier? Liposuction? What is this comparison?
Explain how men are threatened exactly. Men look through people they don't find attractive, zero extra thought.
They are threatened by us asking for decent treatment and having self-confidence.
Obesity fact. Women are more likely than men to be obese, both in the US and worldwide.
Y'all remember when people got upset that I put 3 scrambled eggs instead of 2 into my breakfast hash that I ate? And people went wild about it? Thin privilege, fat phobia, you're welcome.
But it's obvious that the girl eats this once and just for the camera, while on the other hand.
Okay, but why are you bringing her down while talking about hate?
I'm still thinking about the meltdown everyone had when you fried your lettuce. I regret watching some of her videos, but she literally takes a bite then cuts the video. I never saw her swallow once. What a waste.
Maybe just maybe it's not about egg but results in long term.
People get upset when an alcoholic has 1 glass of wine.
Scientists say getting ample sleep should be a frontline defense in tackling obesity.
So I'm eating my lunch and I just started thinking, if you looked at me and I was eating a salad, you would think like, oh, she wants to lose weight. She wants to be skinny. Hot girl summer. If a skinny girl stood here eating a salad, you would think, oh, she's healthy. She probably works out a lot. Yeah, wow. Now, if I stood here eating a cheeseburger, you would immediately think, oh, she does not care about what she looks like. She should care. She definitely should care. Wow, that's so unhealthy. If a skinny girl stood here eating a cheeseburger, you would think, oh, that's so quirky. Aw, cute. I just turned into my Rose. Anyways.
But aren't some of these things easy to guess based on appearance? Some, fairly accurately.
So the lesson is, eat whatever you want, people are always gonna complain anyways.
Literally nobody can win.
Don't talk in here. Perform in here. When you perform in here, when you go up there, you don't need to talk, do you?
The more muscle you have, the easier it is to maintain and improve upon your fitness level.
Eating 3 pretty big slices of pizza. Pepperoni. I'm not really a pepperoni girl, but oh well. It's to the point where I kind of have to like force myself to eat right now.
Then why do it?
Scientists have long known that obesity can actually curb one's ability to taste, meaning that it's actually thinner people who may have the ability to enjoy food more intensely.
Today, we're going to dive into how to respond to those questionable comments from family members and loved ones during the holiday season. If anyone says this, do you really think a person your size should be eating that? Then you should say something like, I appreciate your concern, but commenting on someone else's food choices isn't helpful. Let's focus on enjoying the meal together without judgment. If anyone says this, are you sure you want to wear that? It's not very flattering for someone your size. Then you should say something like, I choose my clothing based on what makes me feel comfortable and confident. Commenting on someone else's appearance or suggesting they should hide their figure perpetuates harmful beauty standards. Let's embrace individuality and respect each other's choices when it comes to personal style and expression. If anyone says this, looks like you've gained weight since I last saw you. What happened? then you should say something like, it's important to remember that bodies change and weight fluctuations are natural. Instead of focusing on appearances, let's celebrate the time we have together and enjoy the holidays. Happy holidays from Big Fig Mattress and I. Let's celebrate togetherness and fat joy this holiday season.
So other opinions don't matter. Obesity fact. The US has the highest level of childhood obesity globally.
Second by second, you lose the opportunity to become the person you want to be. Or you can stop making excuses and take charge of your fucking life.
5 examples of where I was thin but not healthy to prove that thin does not equal healthy, and you can't judge one's health by the size of their body. At this point in my life, I was eating the recommended daily allowance for a toddler. We've talked about this before. That's not healthy. Ah, yes. According to the internet, if you have ab definition, you are the epitome of health. Wrong. For a lot of women, the way to get that ab definition is by eating so little that you lose your period. Again, that's not healthy. Also, according to the internet, all thin people look super happy. Wrong. It was shortly after this photo was taken that actually went back onto antidepressants. Mental health is health. Then, of course, she had to go through her strong, not skinny phase, which actually just meant using exercise as a purging tool. Not a healthy trait. Then, of course, there are all the bikini photos I took on all of the holidays where I didn't eat any of the local foods because I was that scared of food and my eating disorder was that rife. Such a waste. The point, just because somebody is thin, they're not automatically healthy, and vice versa. Just because somebody is in a larger body doesn't automatically make them unhealthy. You can't judge one's health by the size of their body. But thanks to thin privilege, we always think that thin equals healthy. And it doesn't.
Thin does not equal healthy, but obese equals unhealthy for sure. Also, abs on women is not healthy.
I don't think people are saying thin equals healthy. They're saying fat equals unhealthy.
3,500 calories equals 1 pound. Did you know that there are only 3,500 calories in a pound?
Weird about shrimp. Like, I really am. The texture, not the greatest, but I like the taste, so I eat it in small quantities. It's actually really good. Nice and cold.
Shrimp gate. Eating healthy fats can prevent weight gain. Why should it be so complicated? Why do we need to philosophize around weight loss?
I'm trying to lose weight, but the other self says eat the damn cake. For all I know, you may die tomorrow.
What is this now? Reverse psychology with us? Is it working?
Muscle weighs more than fat. So the more muscle you build, the easier it would become for you to burn calories and maintain your weight.
I ordered a thing of fries, and I only ordered one, but for some reason they gave me 2. I will not be eating this.
She actually ordered 3, but they forgot 1.
Obesity fact. Individuals who are obese miss 56% more work than people with a healthy weight.
Styling my stomach, because apparently a lot of people don't know that different body types do exist.
There's this mentality that if you don't have a flat stomach, then you can't or shouldn't show it off, and that you have to try to hide it as much as possible. And I just do not fuck with that. Like, I'm gonna style it, I'm gonna show it off, I'm gonna give it the love it deserves because this is my body and I deserve that. A lot of people body shame me and try to make me feel inferior, but different body types do exist and none of them are something to be ashamed of. I'm always gonna wear what makes me feel good.
Not hiding it is one thing, but intentionally emphasizing it isn't strange.
That's grand, but I just want to point out it's not a body type. You're choosing to be this way, which is fine but not natural.
Well, you'd probably be ashamed of the body you got from binging a lot and stuff, but go off IG.
Ha 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 ha, no no no. Showing your butt-cracked stomach isn't styling it.
Obesity fact. The extra weight of obesity costs airlines $275 million per year.
Ah, the incels have found my video. I said the word dating and fat in the same sentence and they've all come to tell me. Have I thought of just not being fat? Have I thought of trying that? I'm gonna give you the real honest answer in good faith. There's a few of them, but what it boils down to is it's not worth it. Contrary to popular belief, being fat actually doesn't mean that I have never thought of dieting. It's never occurred to me. No, I went on my first diet when I was 10 years old and I was on a diet pretty much solidly, constantly for the next 12 years. Never did my weight change drastically unless I was starving myself or doing restriction extreme enough that my period stopped. I don't know what you know about health, but it's actually not healthy. You're actually supposed to have a period if you have a uterus. Like that's something that's supposed to happen. So instead of trying to make myself skinny so that people would like me, I decided that I was going to focus on myself and do things that make me feel good. Because when I stopped eating, I couldn't think, and I am a master's student, so I do need to think on the daily. I also had no energy to exercise, and I had all-consuming thoughts of food all the time. So instead, what I do now of eating a balanced diet and eating enough to function is I function. I have been through the ringer, I have done every diet you could name, and I have come out the other side knowing that in order to have a happy life, I have to do something that's more balanced and sustainable. And unfortunately, my genetics and my medical conditions and things like that mean that doing that, I'm going to be fat. And it's not worth it to me to go through what I went through and put myself through for 12 years so that people like you will want to have sex with me more, especially when I already have a pretty happy life, relationship, and friendships. If it was that easy to be thin, we would all be thin by now, because you'd have to be crazy to want to be fat. But if you really want to help, you can Venmo me for a gym membership.
So you want to say that you don't want to be fat? Such a fat phobic, and no one says being thin is easy, but it's worth it. Wow, I can't believe we've found the one woman who disproves the laws of thermodynamics.
Okay, so you know losing weight only works with sustainable but can't do that, so you're happy getting fatter cause you won't stay same or lose Sue. I go to the gym and see literally disabled pregnant women in there, but the fat girlies with 2 legs and arms always have medical limitations.
Obesity fact. Different ethnic groups have differing rates of obesity.
Resemblance is uncanny.
Obesity fact. 1 in 5 deaths since 2013 have been due in part to obesity. What is this logic? It's meant in general. There will always be exceptions. Obesity fact. Shocking. Obesity now affects our pets too.
For the millionth fucking time, existing as a fat person is not promoting obesity. Loving your body and being confident about your body is also not promoting obesity. So fuck off.
Golly, having access to all that food kind of makes you privileged.
Obesity fact. Snacking started after World War II and is now one of the biggest causes of obesity.
Kinda wish I was that ribbed.
Time for meat.
Obesity fact. Hunger pangs are in the mind and not the stomach.
Welcome to FaceTime for the Fats, a series where I, a fat, talk about things that only plus-size people will understand. I just went to the gym, and while I was there, I was finally able to verbally articulate a feeling that I have felt in spaces just with other humans around in general, especially ones that include movement, for the first time in my life. So today was a lifting day, I was doing some deadlifts, and I noticed myself being very, on edge, in the sense where I felt myself building up a wall around me, emotionally. And my eyes were on other people like a hawk, making sure they weren't looking at me. And that if they were, I would be on the defense already, being like, you can't touch me, I already see you, sort of thing. And I had to stop myself, and I was like, what are we doing this for? Where is this coming from? Because not a single soul was looking at me, not one. Everyone was minding their own business, which is honestly why I like the gym that I go to, because everyone truly does mind their own goddamn business. And I had to be so gentle with myself in that moment, because I was like, Deanna, you have been subjected to stares, to laughs, to mockery of your body, and if not your body, the body of someone else who looks similar to you, for your entire fucking life. Of course it makes sense when you're doing something that, especially for someone in a larger body, can be very vulnerable, such as going to the gym, that you're gonna be on guard, fight or flight, trying to protect yourself, even when in the moment there isn't really a threat. And once again, these boys, the people around me, they were not doing a thing. They were just working out.
Why do you all say, larger bodies, instead of fat or obese?
And so all this to say, this was a wonderful reminder for me that while, yes, it is important to have a sense of self that keeps you safe and secure from genuine, real fatphobic threats, it's also equally as important to recognize that you have been through so much already. And if you are still fat, that you probably continue to go through things like this at one point or another, and that in the long run, you're not doing yourself any favors by sitting and stewing in that place of hypervigilance. And I'll be the first one to say that is so much easier said than done, because look what I just told you. It happened to me today. Not to mention other factors that play into trauma and whatnot. There's a lot of nuance that can't be discussed right here in one little TikTok. But you are so worthy of being able to let your guard down. You are worthy of moving through the world with ease. And you are worthy of peace. Just as you are.
You are so eloquently spoken. You are worthy of ease, just wow. Yes. My therapist told me if you don't have a positive experience with movement before age 11, you will always feel anxious during.
Obesity fact. Only 2% of kids in the US eat healthy.
Reviews are coming in for the new Wonka movie, and you know I had to talk about it because I saw the trailer, and of course, they had a fat suit in the film. I'm not going to show a picture of it because I don't need that in my life, but Keegan-Michael Key wears a fat suit in the film. And of the reviews that I have read so far, it seems to be the worst part of the film, because of course it is. Keegan-Michael Key is a phenomenal comedian and actor, and wearing a fat suit to do fat jokes is frankly beneath him. I don't know what his contract said. I don't know what he agreed to. I don't know if it was his choice, but it saddens me a little bit that he agreed to wear the damn thing at all. Do you think, though, that this movie is finally going to be the movie where we realize as a culture that, number one, fat suits are completely unnecessary. We never need to use another fat suit ever again. And number two, they're just not funny. Do you think we'll actually reach that point with this movie? Or it's going to be like another dozen or two before we actually get to the point where we take all the fat suits and we just throw them on a fire? Because I want to be there. I would like to be there now. Thank you.
If you just spend all this energy into losing weight.
I wouldn't say fat suits are completely unnecessary. I mean, a single character can go from fat to skinny or vice versa within the span of a movie.
Nothing about the fat suit in Endgame was necessary.
Why does he need to be fat? Do they not know how to show depression without one? It was entirely for the jokes.
Obesity is preventable.
So this is a very interesting comment left on one of my videos where I showed 5 examples of where I was thin, but I definitely was not healthy. But thanks to mass media, social media, BMI, insurance companies, irresponsible fitness influencers, we are always sold this idea that somebody in a larger body is unhealthy. Even though you really can't judge one's health by the size of their body. But thanks to thin privilege, we automatically think that somebody in a larger body is unhealthy, and that's fat phobic and not true.
You cannot judge, but you can have somewhat of an accurate guess. And why would someone preach fat acceptance, especially if they are not fat, never have been?
Fat doesn't mean unhealthy, it means higher risk.
Grendel, I've got some weight to me, but I bet I can deadlift and lift more weight than you.
The estimated annual medical cost of obesity in the United States was nearly $173 billion in 2019.
Oh, how many do I have to do? How many do you have to fucking do? Why do you have to ask such a stupid question? As many as it's gonna take to transform that fat ass you're fucking carrying around.
Let's talk about body size diversity in the Barbie movie. The entire movie, I was like so emotional the second Sharon Rooney came on screen. Because how incredible is it as a little kid to see somebody who looks like you on TV when you usually never ever ever do, especially coming from a brand that is so famously cookie cutter about bodies. As a fat kid growing up in the 2000s, pretty much all my Barbies looked like this. And one of the first things I ever heard about Barbie as a brand was that Barbie promoted unrealistic beauty standards. People around me, my parents, my friends said all the time that Barbie's proportions were not physically possible unless you had surgery. And I remember that being like the first thing I ever learned about Barbie. Like, I knew from day one that I was not a part of this brand. It was not for me. It was not for people who looked like me. And so to see somebody who literally looks like me in this movie was just blew me away. I knew it was coming, but it still blew me away. Sharon Rooney's character was Lawyer Barbie. Her size was never made into a thing. Although they do make this curvy version of Barbie that's basically slim thick, and they call it Barbie Fashionista, she wasn't Barbie Fashionista. She was just part of the universe. She had a job. And her body type is also not this. Now, I do have some questions about or criticisms of how size was portrayed in the Barbie movie, which I will discuss in another video. But for now, I just wanted to take a second to say how much this little girl needed to see somebody who looked like her on screen as part of the group, as one of the cool girls, and never got to, but I got to. And a lot of other little girls who look like me are getting to, and that's really freaking amazing.
How and why would someone notice something like this in a movie?
Seriously, I was on the verge of tears every time she was on screen. Okay, but why did they dress her so conservatively in comparison to all the other Barbies?
Washington, D.C., has the lowest rate of obesity, at just 24.7%. This is followed by Hawaii and Colorado at 25% and 25.1%, respectively.
You are what you repeatedly do every day. So whatever you're doing is what you become. If excellence is something you're striving for, then it's not an accident, it's a habit.
Whether in the past, the present, or even an alternate universe, it was always clear that Monica and Chandler were...
Respectfully, no. I was very saddened to hear of Matthew Perry's passing, and this has nothing to do with that. But this is not the take on Monica and Chandler's relationship and how it evolved from the past to present to future of Friends. Let us remember that when Monica and Chandler meet in high school and Monica's fat, Chandler is like absolutely disgusted by her and is talking to Ross about how much he thinks she's gross. Monica then loses all this weight to spite him, knowing he'll want to get with her the next year when he sees that she's skinny now. And so she literally does that to spite him. We know from the beginning that Chandler's love and interest and attraction to Monica is all conditional on her body size. And so unless we live in this fantasy friends universe where nobody ever gains weight back and it's easy to lose and keep off forever, their relationship is going to be conditional on her staying skinny. And I'm sorry, but like, that's not true love. That's not meant to be. She was meant to be the whole time when he was insulting her. And by the way,
when she got skinny, he didn't stop insulting the fat version of her. He was always making jokes about it in all the episodes where they showed like home videos from when Monica was fat. Chandler and all the friends would make fun of Monica, while Monica obviously had a lot of compassion for her younger self and was obviously saddened by it. I don't necessarily think that like Chandler and Monica's relationship is never good or never healthy, because it is very sweet in the later seasons if you take it out of context of how they met. But to specifically say like the past of him insulting her was incredibly romantic and was bringing them together, absolutely not. And yes, in the alternate universe episode, she does lose her virginity to him at 30 because, as we all know, fat people never have sex in their 20s. Because how would we even find someone unless they were meant to be? I mean, I guess it's great that he could see past her body in the alternate universe episode, but that doesn't erase the fact that the past happened or that he didn't apologize for it. When Chandler finally acknowledges what he's done to Monica, because of course he didn't remember how he treated an inconsequential fat person. His exact words are, "I can't believe I called you fat, but come on, I was an idiot back then." Not an apology. Does not make it right. All this to say, I don't know that we should hold up Chandler and Monica's relationship as past, present, and future goals. Because when your first meeting with somebody is that they were making fun of your body and they did not look at you romantically until your body changed, I'm sorry, but that is a bad foundation for a relationship.
And Monica is fat-phobic for losing the weight, and the whole show is fat-phobic because of it, and all Friends fans are fat-phobic.
Where is your conscience? To literally go after someone who passed away. Because of his character's personal arch? Like, way to make everything about you. Motivation is a great thing to change your life. Also, it's a sitcom, get a life.
It's estimated that a little over 42% of American adults have obesity, while about 30.7% are overweight. Overall, more than 2/3 of U.S. adults in the United States are overweight or have obesity.
Oh my god, thank you so much for realizing that I, in fact, do live in my own world, and that means that you can leave and get the fuck out and never come back again. Goodbye! You're so smart.
What world is that? Eating foods high in refined starch and sugar can raise your insulin, which can make you hungrier, causing you to eat more.
Differential is somebody just breathing life, and the other one taking the most of the opportunity and time of life.
I need to sit down. You guys, I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna lie.
Too much health is exhausting. Overweight and obesity together make up one of the leading preventable causes of death in the U.S.
Why do you keep eating when you know it's not in your best interests? Why can other people do it? Why can't I do it, right? I'll tell you why. Because your story is different. But you want the honest truth behind that again? It just doesn't matter. It's a legitimate fucking reason for you to struggle. Of course it is, but it doesn't matter. All it does is repeatedly justify to yourself why you're not enough, instead of allowing you to find the reasons why you are.
Or simply willpower? Too little sleep may contribute to weight gain. People who sleep fewer than 5 hours a night are more likely to become obese than people who get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night.
The more shit you throw against the wall, something will eventually stick.
Comment on your body don't actually care about your health, or they wouldn't say shit like that.
If you've ever had the misfortune of being on the receiving end of a, "I'm just concerned about your health," you know how uncomfortable that made you. Defensive, irritable. It was not a good experience. Because that shit is manipulative. Because if I have any reaction that's not appreciative or apologetic for the way that my body looks, I'm unreasonable. I'm overreacting. But I just love you so much that I care. You love me so much that you're like, "I'm worried you're gonna die." Surely this will have no effect on my mental health at all. And I'm sure that a lot of people that say it, it's not coming from a place of malice, but it is coming from a place of stigma, and shame. And science has shown you literally cannot shame someone into lifelong behavioral change. You might see temporary changes, but the reality is self-hatred and health cannot coexist in your body. Think what you want, but you can keep it to yourself.
I'm concerned for your health too, and I promise if you say that shit to me again, you'll be at greater risk of death than I will for being fat.
Timing and empathy are two key factors when attempting to have a conversation.
You know what? I'm gonna try a little piece of this. I don't like it. That's a no for me. Oh god. That is like one of the grossest things I've ever tasted. It literally tasted like poison. Like chemicals. It tasted like straight up chemicals.
Too much drama after eating all the other processed stuff. There is no doubt that processed meat contains many harmful chemicals that are not present in fresh meat.
Doing the same thing, expecting a different result doesn't work that way. You must switch up the mainframe. Switch it up if you want a different result, man.
Many of those who are comfortable making fat jokes don't really view fat people as people. That's not really what I mean, but let me see if I can explain. People who are comfortable making fat jokes don't imagine that there are fat people who exist who don't desperately want to be thin. Does that make sense? A comedian can claim that they don't make jokes at other people's expense while making fat jokes because it just never occurred to them that a fat person could be happy while also being fat. If you're fat, you have to desperately want to not be fat. And that's what makes it okay to make fun of them, because nobody wants to be that way, so of course it's fine to make fun of it, right? At least that's my theory, and it's a shitty justification, but it is a justification.
You emphasize the word, desperately. If you were fat and happy, you wouldn't bother with things like this.
People who make fat jokes view being overweight as a moral failing, and thus, feel justified shaming them.
Okay, so I'm nervous. Okay. I was gonna get like a side salad, so I can get full off of that. They don't have salads there.
You guys just don't understand nutrition like her.
As a personal trainer, here's how you cut carbs. To basically
Bravo.
It's perfectly okay to cut down on or cut out carbs if you are getting enough calories every day.
Hold on. Water is to die for, literally.
What's with the water and fat people?
Most people quit because they focus on how far to go still, never realizing how far they've already come.
A low-carb diet has been associated with improved blood sugar control and insulin sensitivity.
Is it an addiction? Is it an addiction? No, I don't think I think it's an addiction. I think it does put me, like, it makes me happy, but no, it's not an addiction.
I don't trust anyone who isn't a foodie, to be honest.
10 examples of fat phobia in TV and film. Monica in Friends. Constantly depicted as eating like that's all people in larger bodies do. It's not. Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect. The name alone is fat phobia personified. Gwyneth Paltrow's character in Shallow Hal. The guy is literally hypnotized in order to fall in love with somebody in a larger body. This alone speaks for itself. Samantha's character in the Sex and the City film. Called out for having a gut, but newsflash, we all have guts. Bridget Jones's Diary. A film that literally encourages encouraged women to hate their bodies and be fearful of dying fat and alone. It's not just female characters though. We've got the nutty professor. The guy went to extreme lengths in order to be slim. What? In order to be deserving of love? This is an obvious one. Khloe Kardashian's revenge body. The entire show depicts that only those in thin bodies are desirable. Going back in the archives, we've got Jan from Greece. Firstly, she's not actually plus size. Secondly, she's also always depicted as eating. Do we see a pattern here? A really problematic one. Last but not least, the cousin in Harry Potter. Depicted as eating cake, then given a pigtailed. Can we see the fat phobia here?
Does anyone think noticing stuff like this became a trend? This was not a thing years ago. It's just a movie.
Thor in Endgame was so infuriating, making fun of his mental health and coping and making his appearance the butt of jokes when he was depressed.
Pretty much like, I pay attention to my body, okay? I do. I know a lot of people like to think that I don't, but I'm smart. I have a dietitian, y'all. I gave my nuggets the platform they deserve. Also, individual mac and cheese and individual mashed potatoes and gravy. And we have a cookie.
By restricting the intake of carbohydrates, the body is prompted to burn stored fat for energy, leading to a reduction in overall body fat.
3 celebrities that are really dangerous to the health and fitness industry. This is not an exhaustive list. There are more. Number 1, we have Jillian Michaels. Yes, she's a personal trainer in her own right, but she's kind of become more of a celebrity household name. Ignoring all of her problematic ways on The Biggest Loser, it's a whole separate video. She also told women that they should eat the recommended daily allowance for a toddler. No. She also makes me mildly mortified to admit I'm a personal trainer that's also a lesbian. Thanks, Gillian. Number 2, we have Rob Lowe, the newest face of the Atkins diet, which if you're a young person, basically the predecessor to the keto diet. Anyone that's pushing this idea of low carb, low sugar, etc. is really flipping dangerous. Number 3, last but definitely not least, Gwyneth Paltrow. Listen, I've got a list as long as my arm of problematic things that Gwyneth Paltrow does with her Goop brand, lifestyle, wellness, fitness, etc. But with regards to health and fitness, she talks a lot about banishing cellulite, clean eating, demonizing certain food types, etc., etc. Please, Gwyneth, I beg of you, just go back to acting. You were really quite good.
And Tess Holliday is not on the list? Or any other fat activist? A low-carbohydrate diet can offer a range of benefits, including weight loss, improved blood sugar control, enhanced cardiovascular health, and potential cognitive advantages.
You know what I noticed? When I drink, I lose weight the next day. Can someone talk to me about that, please? Because I know I have a lot of like doctors and like dietitians and such, and I know a lot of like biologists follow me. So why do I lose weight when I drink? This happens every single time. I literally lose weight. Like, I'll lose like a few pounds. I tried Googling it, actually.
Don't entertain her. She's been in denial over her weight for years, making up excuses for why she isn't losing weight.
Fat people should never eat fast food is the most ridiculous fat-phobic lie. I went and got Taco Bell. But if I post about it in a fat body, that's bad. But thin people posting about it, great, let's do a big haul. I am not the only person who went to Taco Bell today. There were other people in line. Some people are allowed to enjoy fast food and others are not. And that's based solely on body size.
But what is this comparison? You ate your share of fast food for your life. Let thin people try it from time to time.
It's okay for some people to post food content, but a fat person does it and suddenly it's why we're fat. You cannot look at someone's body and tell how often they eat fast food or not. And it's not your place to judge someone who is eating fast food, for whatever reason. And I'm posting that I got fast food to try to change the narrative. We shouldn't be scared to post food content. I got some delicious bean and rice burritos and a nice Baja. Let's all mind our own business with the food that we eat and move along with our day.
Probably because you buy it 5 times a week.
The difference is that thin people are not one burger away from a heart attack.
I have had Taco Bell every Thursday for over a year and I've lost 135 pounds.
Fat phobia isn't real. A lot of you literally brag about how you'd rather be dead than be fat. Nobody's scared of fat people. Phobia means fear. Why do you guys cry like little babies then whenever you see a fat person just existing? Honestly, our impact, like, you hate us, but we stay in that mind. We stay in that noggin.
Yes, you are my hobby. Watching fat TikToks is the best.
Fat phobia is good. Not for people that can't help it though.
Being scared of being unhealthy and dying at 35 isn't fat phobia. I was 114 kilograms, there's nothing beautiful.
Girl, in the end of the day, I ain't glorifying sickness, fat or skinny. Just try and be healthy.
In all seriousness though, like, do not make comments like this to people. I know that you're like tagging your friend and like you aren't thinking about the creator who is like reading this comment, but this shit, it damages people psychologically. Clearly. Comments like this do not incentivize people to take care of their bodies because they make people believe that they are too far gone and that our lives are not worth fighting for. Comments and mentalities like this are why fat people like don't go to the doctor. This mentality is ingrained in us from a very young age before we even have the critical thinking skills to question what this type of language like really means and where it comes from and what assumptions lie within it. You can be fat and live a very long, healthy, happy life, just as you can be thin and die young. You are making this comment about a human being who will inevitably read that comment. Never forget that your words have impact.
No, but wait, negative comments make you not want to change. Positive comments make you not want to change. You will not change anyhow, regardless of comments, health, etc. Is there something that will motivate you to change?
These commenters also don't even realize they're hurting themselves too. Being surrounded with that sort of language every day, I can't imagine what.
And being fat doesn't mean an early death. I hope you're old AF, happy and wealthy when it's your time. Medically and scientifically it does though. Being 500 plus pounds means your organs will give out much faster due to strain.
Do you not think that the people who are that weight understand the risks commonly associated with that? If knowing the truth hurts people psychologically, excessive weight can also hurt people physically. What's your point?
Hope someday you can find true happiness in yourself.
As a big girl, I wouldn't show my body like that, but if you're comfortable with it, then you go, girl. Now, I don't understand what the point of this comment is. Are you just trying to project your own insecurity onto me? Like, are you just trying to make me think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that? Or are you just jealous? Or is this like a backhanded compliment? Like, what is happening here? Because like, I used to not show my body like that. I didn't show my body like that until I was actually bigger. But when I wouldn't do that, I didn't tell people, I didn't announce it to people because it wasn't other people's issue. Now, on the other hand, I do hope that you can get to a point where you're confident enough to do that, but I don't think that it's beneficial for me to know that about you because, no offense, I don't care.
Confidence is one thing, madness is another.
You go, girl, is all that's necessary, otherwise, shut it.
I'm going to FatCon in Seattle, Washington, January 5th through 7th, and I want to see you there. FatCon is a 3-day fat liberation celebration, y'all. We will be celebrating fat liberation, body acceptance, and the power of being in fat community. With over 60 hours of programming spanning from policy, legislation, healthcare, community, and visual arts, plus a ton more, this is sure to be something you don't want to miss. The vibes are going to be immaculate. With a fat brunch, a fat fashion show, and a fat vendor marketplace, there is so much to do. Plus, there's some really cool experiences you can sign up for, like some fat liberation photo shoots and some incredible shopping experiences with 2 big blondes. Being in fat community with other fat people who just accept you for who you are and get it is such a great experience, and I want every single person watching this to be able to have that experience with us. Ticket sales for the FatCon are going to be ending very soon. You can go to the link in my bio and use code JBAE to save 25% on your tickets. I hope to see each and every one of you at the FatCon in Seattle, Washington, January 5th through 7th.
OMG, I wanna go.
I wish I could go.
I have been told that by simply just existing, I may encourage children to believe that it's okay to be fat, which is unhealthy. Or I may influence someone to get fat or stay fat. And I would just love to ask my fellow fat people, like, who was it who encouraged you to be fat when you were a kid? Or has influenced you to stay fat now you're an adult? No one? Same here. Funny that, isn't it? The argument between influencing and representation is fascinating because 100% representation matters. I will always, always, always advocate for representation of all body types, body shapes, body sizes, every type of body to be represented on our screens because it helps normalize those bodies. If we normalize more body types, then there is no opportunity to other those body types. And especially in media, we like to demonize the other. So if we stop marginalising them, then that opportunity to demonise and vilify becomes less and less. I hope that makes sense. However, the moral panic argument against representation is that if we allow those different types of body sizes, we could be encouraging the viewer to think that that is okay, which of course it is. And the argument against that argument, because it's a moral panic, right? It's a moral panic. If we show more fat people on screen, then people think it's okay to be fat. But we've been showing thin people forever and a day. I grew up in the 90s and noughties. All I saw was thin people, and funnily enough, that didn't make me thin. What it made me feel was that I was wrong, because no matter how much I tried, no matter how much I exercised, no matter how much I was, having a negative self-talk, because all I saw was thin people on my screen. All I saw was the fat characters be bullied or be bullied on screen, right? All I kept thinking is, I can't be like that, I can't be like that. And I tried so hard to be a thinner child. And I couldn't do it because I was naturally not a thin child. Naturally, I was not a thin child. So it really messed with my self-worth, because all I saw on my screen were thin people being the heroes and fat people being the victims and the bullies. And I was still fat. So, but interestingly, the moral panic doesn't work that way. So the argument is, oh, well, if we allow more bigger people on screen, then then people think it's okay to be fat. So, but then do you think the other is true? Do you think that if we allow more thin people on screen, that there would be more thin people? Because
no, but wait, you changed the narrative.
Oh, well, if we allow more bigger people on screen, then then people think it's okay to be fat. That if we allow more thin people on screen, that there would be more thin people, because that's what's been happening, and that isn't happening. It's the same argument with people who are against seeing gay relationships on screen. People will go, well, if you have gay relationships on screen, then people will think it's okay to be gay, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but we've been watching straight relationships forever and a day, and not everyone is straight. So how can you believe that the power influence is so strong one way, which is the marginalised and other way representation, but you don't believe it works the same for the norm? A representation helps us all. It allows us to evolve past judging people by their covers, which is something we learn at primary school, and yet apparently we don't bring that through into the media we watch. And to the point where we create ridiculous moral panics and vilify people just for existing because they see it as inherently bad, just because you view my body as inherently bad. But again, going back to that judging book by its cover, you shouldn't be judging me because of my body. You should be judging me by what I say, by my actions. Or you know what? You could maybe not judge me, but I'm a realist at the same time. We're all going to judge. That's what we do.
We are judging your content. Why not make videos about something else?
My genetics influenced the shit out of me to get fat and stay fat, baby.
Oh, them genetics be genetic-ing. No one encouraged me. Body positive people have taught me to stop fighting with my body after 36 years.
This is how it feels when you first come onto the internet as a fat person. Like... No, really, you don't understand it if you haven't been through it. There is a learning curve of just learning how to incorporate harassment and abuse into your everyday life, and it's hard. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of sadness, but it gets better. You learn how to deal with it, you learn how not to personalize it, you learn that it's all about them and not really about you.
Don't you think that people are just triggered by the misinformation you spread? Just change subject. Don't be all about, fat is okay.
But this is the phase you have to go through. This phase of just tears, this phase of sadness, this phase of hurting, this phase of everything sucks, everyone hates me, and then you realize they just hate themselves. And once you reach that moment, once you reach that understanding, it's so freeing.
The reason that you hate your body when you see photos of yourself, or that you hyperfixate on a part of your body when you're looking at a photo, is not actually because of your body. What we know about emotions is that emotion will only last about 90 seconds to 3 minutes. So if you're looking at a photo and it is causing you constant distress, what that tells us is that there is not just an emotion happening, there is a story, an underlying wound that has not been healed. So here's why I think we get stuck around photos. The reason I think we get stuck around photos is because we don't actually spend a lot of time looking at ourselves in photos. A lot of times, photos used to be the way that we would measure our failure or success when it came to dieting. So I think a lot of us are disconnected to what we actually look like in photos because we used to spend so much time looking and comparing and contrasting to now we just don't. And so it's a new thing. So one reason could be you're just not used to taking photos of yourself. The reason that photos can distress us is if we have other body image wounds going on and we are not paying attention to them, it is one way that it will just break through the surface. So if you imagine your body image a little bit like a beach ball and holding that beach ball underwater, a lot of times we can sort of just avoid the distress around our bodies. But then we see ourselves in pictures, or we have these experiences where it's forced, the beach ball is forced up, and we have no choice but to deal with it. The reason why photos accost us is because of what we are expecting to see when we look at the photos. I know that a lot of times when I would look at a photo and I would expect to see my smaller, thinner, more disordered self, I was then accosted when I was in a bigger body. Whereas now I know what to expect when I look at a photo because I'm not expecting to see something that's not there. I know that if I go into a photo with my hair and makeup done, I'm going to see more of like a model shoot than if I'm going on my camera right now without makeup, without my hair done. And so I think really it comes down to the expectation of what you are looking for when you're taking the photo. And then two, that internalized anti-fat bias of what judgment is coming up around how I take said photo. I work with clients on making peace with photos. One of the things I'll encourage them to do is break the photos up into 3 parts. 1 is the preparation of taking the photo, 2, taking the photo, and 3, looking at the photos. So if you know you're going into the holiday season, wanting to take photos, wanting to be part of the memories, 1, mentally prepare for getting in the photos. That's the first thing that you're going to do. What does that look like? How can you mitigate distress? For me, that might look like wearing makeup, getting my hair done, falling into the westernized beauty standard because I know it will mitigate the distress of seeing my body in photos later on. The second thing is when you're taking the photos and being present is not thinking about what they're going to look like and allowing yourself and giving yourself permission not to look at the photos right away.
Also, losing weight or Photoshop can help.
When I stopped viewing myself from a man's perspective and started loving my body from my perspective. Diet culture also contributed to my self-esteem.
Southwest Airlines has been in the news lately for its customer of size policy, but what is it and how can it help plus size people? Essentially, the policy allows you to get a second seat for free if you don't comfortably fit into one. You can either book the ticket in advance, which means you have to pay for it and then you're refunded once you land, or you can take your chances and you can ask at the desk. Asking when you check in is a little bit risky, of course, but all you need to do is say, I'd like to utilise the customer of size policy, and they'll help you out. For this method, you don't need to refund your ticket as they won't charge you. So Southwest is a little bit different to the UK and you don't have allocated seats. This means as you board the plane, you choose your seat there and then. When using the customer of size policy, Southwest do recommend that you board early so you can pick the seat that's best for you. I've heard the back row is a no-go. It's not really the best method, but the way to keep your seat free next to you is sit your little reserved seating ticket next to you, and then no one will sit there. If you get a window seat, I've heard it's much easier to do this. If you did purchase your ticket in advance, all you need to do is wait until you land and then you can apply for a refund. All the information on how to do this is on Southwest's website. I absolutely love this policy and I think it's a great solution. We don't have anything like it in the UK, but I'm hoping with all of this extra coverage, people start to consider it as an option.
How does the airline decide you should have this option? Do they weigh you, measure your body, make you sit to check the room left in the other seat?
No, you choose if you need it and tell them.
Can they refuse this though? Someone a size 14 might want this option, also someone size 28. Are there criteria in place to make it clear for customers?
What happens when the flight is up to capacity and some poor person has to lose their seat because of this?
I'm going to say this again. Being body positive is not an excuse to neglect your health.
I've seen other people stitch your video and they were much nicer to you than I'm going to be. You have no idea who I am, so let me introduce myself. I am an exercise physiologist, which means I hold a degree in this field, a certification in this field, and have been a professional in this field for a decade. In fact, one of my jobs was actually managing a gym where I hired, trained, and fired personal trainers just like you. And I mean that literally. You're not special. A thin, white, young, able-bodied personal trainer is quite literally a dime a dozen, especially ones with such spicy takes like fat, bad, unhealthy, you need lose weight with exercise, me make you, and a significant misunderstanding of body positivity on top of it. I need you to start wrapping your head around the idea that people can pursue fitness without a weight loss goal, including fat people. Your attitude and approach is exactly what keeps a lot of people away from fitness. Good luck on your exam.
She literally said nothing about half of this? Why are you putting words in her mouth? She was very polite and respectful.
That's good, not focusing on weight loss, but fat loss is important.
Wow, I think you were reading way too much into what she said.
Why can't I understand what she said wrong?
Today, we're diving deep into the dangerous world of visceral fat, the silent killer lurking within our bodies. You may not see it, but it's wreaking havoc on your health.
This is why I choose to be fat. Stay with me. It's because of this. I get a lot of comments saying, oh, just lose weight. It's so easy. Just eat less, just exercise more, whatever. But the thing is, research shows, and this is what this article is about, that most people, the vast majority of people, about like 90 to 95%, they initially lose weight in the short term, and then within a few years, they gain it back. The reason for this is that, and I quote, we are very efficient biological machines. We evolved not to lose weight. We evolved to keep on as much weight as we possibly can.
And that is your excuse to not even try? But if you don't go back to your old habits, will you regain the weight anyhow?
And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but what about health? What about your health? The thing is, all of these health behaviors like eating well, eating a variety of foods, vegetables, exercising regularly, they're all actually good for you. They actually work. They just aren't going to make you thin, in most cases.
But do you practice any of that? And eating well won't make you lose weight? We have different definition for eating well.
But the irony is, the things that I was doing to try to make myself skinny, those things were not healthy. And not everybody can be healthy. I mean, arguably, I can't be healthy because I have PCOS and it's a chronic condition. But I can still do healthy behaviors if I want. And here's the thing that nobody tells you about being fat. The worst parts of it are other people's judgments of you. But another thing nobody tells you is that there are actually a lot of parts of being fat that are fine. There are a lot of ways in which I, as a fat person, am living a completely normal life. I have friends, I have family, I post on the internet, I go outside, I go to concerts, I go to movies, I have a boyfriend, I'm normal.
I'm just a person who happens to be fat.
You will have judgment when all you post about is fat content.
And the reason that I don't choose to diet is because, one, I know it doesn't work, and two, I already have a good life, except for people's cruel judgments of me. And so what I would rather do is work to change those judgments instead of doing things that probably aren't going to work long term and that actually are pretty bad for your health. I don't have any attachment to being fat. If I were to lose weight for an unintentional reason, I wouldn't care. But I'm not willing to put myself through the diet ringer again just to most likely gain the weight back in a few years. I found this article and many other sources through my TikTok friend Fran, who is a scientist and just came on my podcast. So if you want to know more about how size relates to things like diabetes, stroke, heart attack, check that out. We go into detail on all of it.
Of course we want easier life and don't want to leave our comfort zone, but obesity makes your life harder long term.
I mean, of course dieting doesn't work. As a fat man losing weight, it requires me to radically change how I approach food fundamentally.
Health does not equal size.
So, what exactly is visceral fat? Unlike the fat you can pinch on your skin, visceral fat is the dangerous fat that wraps around your organs deep within your abdomen. Think of it as an unseen predator, quietly sabotaging your health.
Well, why don't you just become thin then so that you can get thin privilege? Maybe because I shouldn't have to change my body for other people to treat me well? Why do you always complain about being fat? I don't complain about being fat. Not once have I ever complained about my body. Yeah, you have. Your entire profile is that. No, it's not. I like the way that I look and I have no intention or want to become thin. I have no issue with my body right now. Then why do you always talk about thin privilege and fat phobia? Because I'm treated differently based on my body.
Maybe it's not because of your body.
Then change your body. What do you not get? I don't need to change my body for other people for them to treat me well. I should be able to exist in my current body now and still receive basic human respect. Yeah, but you're fat. So you think because I'm fat I deserve to be mistreated? Well, yeah, fat's a choice. Fat consequences. Woo! Really? You're just like proving my entire point. If you want to be treated well, then just get thin. So you really think that I should change my body in order for other people to treat me well instead of those other people unlearning their fat phobia and realizing that thin privilege exists? Yeah, it's not our problem. You're the one mistreating me though. Well then don't be fat if you don't want to be mistreated. Alrighty.
Studies have shown that excess visceral fat is linked to a myriad of health issues, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and even certain cancers. It's not just about looking good, it's about staying alive and thriving.
This commenter wants to know what I mean when I say fat competent, because based on their comment, it's very clear that they don't understand. Oftentimes when I say fat competent, what people think I mean is that the doctors are not nice to me, which is just very plainly like not what that means. And if you actually listen to my words, you would hear that I separate fat competent and fat friendly, which very clearly makes a distinction between competency with our bodies and friendly, meaning nice to us. And while yes, a lot of the issues many fat people have with doctors is that we go to the doctor and they are actively hostile. They are not kind or friendly or nice or whatever it is. That's actually the least of my concern. So kind practitioners are part of what keeps people coming back to the doctor. So if I were a doctor, I would want to be kind to my patients, but as I said, that's not really my primary concern, because inadequate care or at worst medical neglect with a smile on your face is still inadequate care and medical neglect. In that video, I was talking about vaccines, and when I said fat competent, what I mean is knowing that for most larger bodied people, you need to use a longer needle to give the injection. There are nurses and nurse practitioners and doctors who do not know this, meaning that I could go and get a vaccine and end up not being immunized because they didn't use the right size needle. If you are a plus size person in need of a pap smear or gynecological exam, oftentimes, due to the way our bodies are shaped, the practitioner needs to use a longer speculum. I have gone to the gynecologist and not been able to get a pap smear because the doctor did not know to use a longer speculum. I have gone to the doctor, had them try and take my blood pressure, and them not know where in their office the larger blood pressure cuff was, and they quite literally just asked me what my blood pressure normally was. These list of examples like go on and on and on. I have had specialists whose care I desperately needed for even just diagnosis not book initial appointments with me because they had BMI limits on who they would even see for an initial appointment in their office. Not for treating, not for, oh, we have a BMI requirement for a surgery or a procedure or a medication. Quite literally would not even take an initial appointment with me in her office. Like so genuinely, fuck my feelings. I am simply asking for doctors who know how to do their jobs.
Maybe the specialists do not want to treat obese patients because of this? Maybe, just maybe.
As a nurse, I'm sorry this is a thing. It takes 2 seconds to add an alert to the chart to indicate appropriate sized cuff without making a scene.
Remember, the battle against visceral fat is not won overnight. It takes dedication, consistency, and patience. But the rewards are priceless. Improved health, increased energy, and a longer, happier life.
Often we hear contradicting, wildly different perspectives from marginalized groups on the same topic. How do we know who to believe? For example, I am fat, and I believe current healthcare practices and stereotypes about fat people are really harmful. Yet a regular comment I receive is, I'm fat too, and I don't think body shaming, fat shaming, stereotypes about fat people are wrong. And I think we need to look at 2 things. 1, are they actually a part of the group that they are speaking on behalf of? And 2, are they centering harm reduction? We need to center people with the lived experience. But what happens when lived experience aligns, but perspectives are still wildly different? That is where part 2 comes into play. Are they centering harm reduction? Because if not, there are likely some biases at play. Harm reduction is never a bad thing. If someone is trying to normalize something that is harmful, does not care that it is harmful, or care to make it less harmful, that's a red flag. And we need to center people who have the most marginalization. We need to be centering people who face the harshest edges of harassment and exile. Because we are not free until they are free. We need to center intersectionality. And finally, in addition to the 2 things, are they a part of the group and are they centering harm reduction? We need to remember that just because you are a part of that group, it does not mean you will always have the most correct opinion. Centering your experience, especially if it is more privileged, is not generalizable. For example, in the case of fat phobia, which is the example I talked about earlier, just because you are fat and don't get harassed in public or at the doctor does not mean that is not a regular occurrence for others. Be very mindful about the perspectives you are allowing for these very complex topics, and most importantly, that you are centering harm reduction in every single thing that you are doing.
Doing harm reduction about being overweight is a red flag in itself. Claiming it's okay to damage your body and rationalize food addiction is a RF.
Being fat is the harm. Harm reduction in this example is losing weight and continuing to promote having a healthy BMI.
Wait, so they have bias but you don't? Get out of here.
Let's banish visceral fat from our lives and reclaim control of our health. We can defeat this silent killer and live our best lives. Stay healthy and stay happy.
A part of being fat is knowing that to so many people, the most exciting, celebratory, incredible thing you could ever do is get thin. Getting smaller is the accomplishment above all accomplishments. above getting a master's degree, above getting a bachelor's degree, above landing a great job in your career, above being in a healthy relationship, above getting married, above getting engaged, above. It would be almost funny if it wasn't so deeply infuriating and dehumanizing, because we are not seen as human before we are seen as fat. Fatness is seen as an other. It's seen as its own identity, separate from humanity, because it's seen as like a moral thing. It's seen as morally bad. And it sucks so much. And fat people deserve to be celebrated so much more for everything in their lives, because we just aren't. We aren't. And we know there's one secret recipe for everyone to be rooting for us, and one secret recipe for everyone to be against us, which is being fat positive or staying fat. Even though there are so many health risks with weight loss, even though for the vast majority of people, they will gain back more weight than where they started.
Health risks with weight loss but not with fatness? Got it.
That's an overgeneralization.
I lost 50 pounds and it is like I am a different person entirely. It makes me so anxious even though people treat me better and like me more.
Your body and your physical fitness says something about you automatically.
And on today's episode of Fat People Be Blamed for Anything and Everything, we have this comment courtesy of Emily. Emily writes, "You are privileged to be able to get to that size. Think of all those extra calories that children in Gaza could have had instead." I've tried to record what I'd love to say about this multiple times, but I just don't think I could do it justice. And so I'm hoping that I don't need to explain how horrendous of a comment that is to read. That comment was left in a video of me talking about body positivity and about how I've learned to love myself despite society telling me that I am wrong and I should be changing myself and I should starve myself in order to fit a societal standard. And that person has decided to blame me or insinuate that I am contributing to a genocide is one of the most heinous things I've ever read.
Okay, but you are not addressing the part that you are privileged having access to all those calories.
You know, fat people, the reason why body positivity, fat liberation, fat acceptance exists is because of that rhetoric. The irony that that was left on the body positivity video is not lost on me, but it will be lost on Emily, because clearly she is dumb as a bag of rocks. That's why we fight just for basic respect. And to insinuate that we are just evil by existing, well, obviously means that you don't respect us. And if you don't respect us, it means that you don't think that we deserve certain rights and certain privileges that other people are allowed. Like access to medical care. Even access to food, you know?
How don't you have access to food? And the point is not respect, but you complaining about thin privilege when you are privileged in other ways.
Access to food, you know? You don't think we deserve it. I am secure in the knowledge knowing that what Emily has written is obviously so far from the truth. But I am saddened to see and read that people like her exist and believe that. And I really hope that they will change their opinion. But at the same time, when you're that far gone into the rabbit hole that is hating other people just for existing, I don't think there's much hope for Emily. Anyway, you're allowed to exist. You're allowed to exist and you're allowed to enjoy existing.
Not hating, But why aren't other people allowed to have opinions? Why are you always right and always the victim? And life is not all about eating.
I mean, Emily obviously does have a point though. Of course you aren't responsible for the children in Gaza starving and you can't be made responsible for it either. But being heavier than the average person means you also require more resources. Your clothes are bigger and require more water to wash. You are heavier and require more fuel, electricity to be transported by plane, car, train. You require more food to sustain your size. You require more space in public places like the train or plane once again, making the use of space less efficient. There are a lot more examples like this. Yes, you are allowed to exist, but you also need to be aware of the fact that your personal choices do impact other people's lives and whether it's ethical in today's time to take up more resources for yourself than the average person does. Especially from the standpoint of sustainability, I'll leave up to you to decide.
I don't want to be strong like men who look pretty. I want to be strong like bitch that fight bears in the forest.
If you are fat or have ever been fat, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but you will never be anything other than fat. No matter how much I accomplish, no matter how much I do, no matter how good of a person I am, no matter the community I hold, no matter the kindness I extend to others, no matter my politics, no matter my religion, first and foremost, I'm fat. Which doesn't have to be a bad thing, sure. Fatness is part of me, it's part of how I move through the world. But it's part of me. It's not all of me. It is not the most important aspect of me. And for some reason, me being fat makes all of my accomplishments, everything I mentioned, not matter. Before I am a grad student, I am fat. Before I am nice, I am fat. Before I am funny, I am fat. Before I am smart, I am fat. Before I like animals, I am fat. Before I am vegan, I am fat. Before I speak, before I think, I am fat. Therefore, I am bad. And let me tell you, which I probably don't have to tell you, it is so draining. And it is so not fair.
OMG, this logic.
That's not true at all. You are choosing to view the world through that lens. You have based your entire identity on the size of your body.
It's because you complain about it constantly. Hope this helps.
People will go on a weight loss journey and then say, oh my god, I feel so much better after losing weight. I just have more energy waking up in the morning. My body just moves better. I just feel more myself. Like, ugh, come on guys. Whole time they are exercising, eating more fruits and veggies, and 3, sticking to a routine. But somehow that always gets pushed to the side as if that is an inconsequential part of why they feel better, as if it has no part whatsoever in how they felt better. It was not the fact that they increased the diversity of their diet. It was not the fact that they started moving their body more. It was the weight. And so many people will start these resolutions where they're moving their body more, they're diversifying their diet, and they will think, wow, I feel so much better, get on a scale, see that they have not lost weight or gained weight, and immediately think, wow, I'm so unhealthy, I'm so bad, man, this is terrible. Because it's not about health. If we really focused on just making our bodies feel better, there wouldn't be an emphasis on weight. There have literally been studies too, if people want to talk about, oh, well, of course weight loss helps with health. There have been studies where people who literally had their fat just removed, just like lipo, and their markers, their health markers, all that jazz, were not improved from the people who stayed fat. Weight loss is just a potential, possible side effect of changing your lifestyle. And just as likely as weight loss is to happen, weight maintenance and weight gain. Those are both equal, if not more possible, possibilities. We need to be actively deconstructing the idea that weight loss and getting smaller is what health is what feeling good is. We need to stop. Let's focus on actual health promoting behaviors in 2024. Please.
Number 1. Lose some weight.
I'm so tired of people on journeys. Just stay home for once.
If you focus on weight loss instead of actual health changes, it's because you were fat phobic. My lab results are normal when I was obese, but my ankle hurts every time I run. After losing some weights, it felt lighter and doesn't hurt anymore.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the hidden world within us, the gut microbiome. Forget butterflies, your gut is home to trillions of tiny critters, bacteria, fungi, and even viruses that play a huge role in your health.
I don't comprehend the meaning of that shirt. Anyone be kind enough to tell me. Sorry, I'm slow.
I'm glad you're helping your health and working out.
Always have. Just have mostly kept this part of my life private due to the assumptions and commentary made when I have chosen to share.
Did just enough reps to post a video to be like, look, I exercise, then immediately left the gym and proceeded to eat a 5,000 calorie cake.
Ah, that's a real nice story you've told yourself.
And it's so funny to hear all of the body shamers assume that we're lazy and don't exercise. But they never repost truthful things like this.
Think of your gut as a garden. When these microbes are diverse and thriving, it's like a blooming oasis, keeping you healthy and vibrant. But neglect it, and things can get weedy, leading to a cascade of health issues. So, how do we cultivate this inner garden? What makes it flourish, and what are the pesky weeds we need to pull?
I'm obese. I was obese my entire life, but I started to go to the gym and I already see changes in myself. I just feel better. Gym. I don't think I've ever heard that word before. Gym. Am I saying it right? Can someone in the comments just let me know what that word means and if I'm saying it right? Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
I'm pretty sure they are saying gym but just spelled fun. Whoever this gym guy is, congrats on making them feel better. Gym is short for get your muffin. So I think that's what I'm going to do.
Our gut microbiome is a complex ecosystem, with over 1,000 different species of microbes all vying for space and resources. The good guys, like bifidobacteria and lactobacillus, help digest food, produce vitamins, and boost our immune system. They're the gardeners, keeping things tidy and productive. The key to a healthy gut is maintaining a diverse and flourishing community of good bacteria. And just like any garden, what we eat and how we live plays a major role. Let's start with the good stuff. Fiber feast. Think of fiber as prebiotics, fertilizer for your gut garden. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes are packed with fiber, feeding the good bacteria and keeping them happy. Fermented friends. Yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and kombucha are teeming with probiotics, living bacteria that directly boost the good guys in your gut. Think of them as tiny gardeners, helping to plant and nurture the good microbes. Polyphenol powerhouse. Fruits like berries, apples, and grapes are rich in polyphenols, antioxidants that protect your gut lining and keep the bad guys at bay.
This plant protein thing again that I tried yesterday. She didn't like it just flat out alone. I think a couple people suggested to do it in smoothies. That's what my girlfriend said. But I'm not doing a smoothie right now. So I'm going to try to mix it with her regular milk that I usually give her and see if she doesn't notice. She might not notice if it's mixed with regular milk. And then I'll just put the rest away and try it again if it works. She might have noticed. I don't know.
The infamous playthrough, everything infamous.
Things to avoid for a happy gut. Sugar overload. Sugar is like candy for the bad bacteria, giving them a growth spurt and throwing your gut ecosystem out of whack. Cut back on sugary drinks, processed foods, and refined carbohydrates. Stress sprouting. Chronic stress can wreak havoc on your gut, making it more susceptible to inflammation and bad bacteria. Find healthy ways to manage stress, like yoga, meditation, or spending time in nature. Antibiotic apocalypse. While essential for fighting infections, antibiotics can also wipe out the good bacteria in your gut. If you're on antibiotics, consider taking a probiotic supplement to help restore balance.
By the way, they're not burnt, they're just crispy.
Remember, your gut microbiome is a living, breathing ecosystem that reflects your overall health. By feeding it the right things and avoiding the nasties, you can cultivate a flourishing inner garden that keeps you healthy and happy from the inside out.
Here's why it doesn't really make sense when you say, they're fine to be fat. It's just about me. I'm not fine with being fat. There's this big cultural understanding in the whole field of weight loss that it's just about ourselves. And, other people, I don't judge them for being fat. There's a little bit of a dissonance there. Why do you not like being fat? What are the factors for you? What are the underlying beliefs of that? That's the point where things kind of fall apart. Because if you want to say like, oh, I just want to be healthier, or I want to look better, or blah, 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 blah. There are beliefs that are underpinning that. You think thinness is related to health. It's a direct correlation.
Thinness is not directly correlated to health, but obesity is directly correlated to health issues.
It's a direct correlation. Maybe you think thinness is more attractive. Maybe. You don't exist in a vacuum, and so those uninterrogated background beliefs are going to bleed out on everyone else. It's just easier to ignore them when they're other people, but they're still there and they're still influencing your interactions with these people. When we have a situation like that where it's like, oh, I'm not fine with it, but I'm fine with other people, it's really, really important to interrogate where that comes from. Because it influences how you see the world, it influences how you move through it, and it does color your interactions with people. So it's just important to be aware of those things and not just keep creating distance, because it's really important to know where they come from. And yeah.
So you are not only asking for acceptance but also asking for people to want to be fat. Okay.
You don't need to have a reason if you want to lose weight. It's your body choice, just like changing hairstyle.
I'm curious, what is there to like about being fat?
Obesity fact. Americans consume 23% more calories daily compared to 50 years ago.
Some days, I roll in a wheelchair, but guess what? That doesn't define my worth. Some days you might see me using a walker, but my worth does not change. And neither does yours if you use a mobility aid too. Some days I might need a little support from my cane, but that doesn't change a thing. I'm still absolutely worthy. Some days I walk unassisted, and you know what? My worth remains the same. Everybody is worthy of human decency no matter what.
Beautiful women get around however they can.
Or, just do better.
I'm surprised you're not asking for a second wheelchair for free.
Obesity fact. Obese individuals miss 56% more workdays than healthy weight counterparts.
Hello there. So I'm going to take a minute to, instead of fuck you, you're wrong, I'm going to take this minute to try and educate you and to explain, in my own words, the difference between fat shaming and skinny shaming and how they're not the same. A lot of people think that they are the same, and I think that There might be a misunderstanding or a misrepresentation of what people actually think fat shaming is. Now, skinny shaming is obviously like, ew, you're skinny, or like skin and bones, or like comments about your skinny body that are degrading and are wrong and hurtful, right? I'm not denying that's bullying. It is bullying. However, fat shaming is not the same thing as that, because fat shaming is not just calling someone fat. It's not just making fun of a fat person. Other examples of fat shaming are when the doctor tells you to lose weight as your medical advice when you go in for like an ear infection or an eye infection. Or it's when you've continuously rolled your ankle for 15 times over the years and you go in and say, my ankle hurts. And then all they have to say is, oh, you need to lose weight. That is an example of fat shaming.
That's a valid advice.
Another example of fat shaming is when you go into a store and then they don't have your clothing size that you want to wear or that you want to buy, and then you go and you complain, and then they say, oh, just buy it online. That is a level of fat shaming. That's saying that, well, if you want to buy your clothes in the store, then you need to be thinner. Or, well, you're fat, so you have to pay the consequence of going out of your own way just to get your basic necessities met. Other examples of fat shaming are like online dating. I went on today for fucking, I don't know what, I just felt like it. And out of the few people that messaged me, a handful of them told me that I need to go to the gym. Did I ask for this? No. But putting myself in that space, you get automatic fat shaming and you get automatic systemic fat phobia. Now, those are just a small bunch of examples of what fat shaming is. So when people say that skinny shaming and fat shaming is the same, I say no. One, because I'm factually correct, but also because in those same instances, fat or skinny people do not have the same experience as fat people. Those experiences that I just listed are inherent and are only directed or only happen to the majority of fat people, right? Meaning skinny people do not get denied their basic human rights for their body size. Fat people do. Fat people get discriminated against for their body size. Thin people don't. And that's why skinny shaming and fat shaming are not the same thing. Now, if you want to continue to deny it, then that just means you're ignorant and won't educate yourself. And you won't listen to fat people's voices, which just reinforces that you're probably fat phobic. So if it'll help, go watch a thin person explain the same thing to you. Maybe you'll listen then.
Basically, you are saying that buying 6XL clothes in stores is a human right. Okay.
This was so patient and generous of you. Amazing response.
Obesity fact. Insufficient sleep disrupts hormones that regulate hunger and satiety, increasing cravings and calorie intake.
People love to wonder why fat people talk about being fat all the time. And I think that's a really big misconception because we talk about it a lot because the world talks about it. If the world wasn't so fat phobic, I wouldn't have to be so aware of that as a part of my own identity. We talk about it because we have to, because we're in this era of needing to bring visibility to fatness in a way that isn't just shitty. This happens a lot to people in groups whose experiences people don't really care about. More annoyed that we're talking about our experience and we're complaining about our experience than the fact that we have so many things to complain about and we have so many things in the way of us. Being an anonymous account and commenting fat phobia isn't real doesn't change the very real systemic things we have against us. I want fat people to be able to go to the doctor and get medical care. I want fat people to be able to wear what they want in public and also wear what they want, period. We have something like 80% less options or more compared to people who are thin. We want to go clothes shopping like everyone else. We want to just get groceries like everyone else. We want to do things without them all being a risk, without them all being a call to bullying. If you are not familiar with the fat experience, trust people who are fat when they talk to you about their experience.
Why is always the same argument about clothes in stores? Don't you think that you have better things to worry about than fashion?
It takes away the power to be hurt by acknowledging it first. It seems to make people like you more as well, because you're self-aware.
Obesity fact. Having a BMI over 30 increases the risk of diabetes by 93 times.
Excuse the sound of sizzling sausage in the background, but I have to tell you something that is truly going to change your brain. We are well into January, and that means we are seeing people that are losing weight, doing weight loss things, moving their bodies, eating differently. And I want to tell you that none of that has anything to do with you. If that's something that you want to do, then I think it's wonderful. If it's something that you're not able to do, it's okay too. There's been so many plus size and fat creators losing weight and changing their bodies, and I know people are mad, but at the end of the day, people need to do what they feel is best with their bodies, and nobody owes anybody anything. And I know how it can feel like a slap in the face and you feel so betrayed, but guess what? The only person in charge of your happiness is you. And to be honest, that is a beautiful, liberating thing. Let me check this sausage though. Okay, so I'm done with breakfast. This is my breakfast. It's like Greek yogurt, chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin, blueberries, blackberries, all the good stuff, eggs, hash browns, tomatoes, anti-inflammatory things for me. So we're using Bowie's plates and bowls. I don't want to, whatever. And here's Bowie's. This is his breakfast: hash browns, boiled eggs, sausage, blackberries, strawberries. You know how to feed your body best. Nobody else. Listen to your body. Do what feels good for your body. Honor that. Don't pay attention to everybody else and the background noise. And just remember that everybody else is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And it's a lot easier to judge people than it is just to heal yourself. Sending you love.
This is the worst advice. No, obese people should never trust their bodies. Their hormones are out of whack.
Yes, do what makes you happy.
Isn't heroin engineered to make you feel as happy as physically possible? Sounds like bad advice.
You know how to feed your body best. If you weigh 450 pounds, then you obviously don't know how to feed your body.
The only thing more beautiful than the sound of Tess Holliday's voice is Tess Holliday's voice over sizzling bacon.
Obesity fact. People with obesity incur $1,500 higher annual medical costs than individuals with healthy weight.
The only way to be credible as a fat person on anything is to say that you've lost a significant amount of weight. Like, the only people that are not getting constant harassment are the fat people who are constantly telling everyone that they are trying to be thin.
Well, they are the ones trying to better themselves, opposed to the ones bullying their bodies.
It's okay to support people who are trying to change their bodies, but it's not okay to support people who are just existing in the ones they were given.
What do you mean you were given this body? Who gave it to you? Weren't you the one who abused it and made it the way it is?
And this plays into ableism, this idea that we owe performing health to people, and that health is a moral problem. Somehow, somewhere, we got it so twisted that we have to earn the right to not be harassed, and earn the right to be believed, and earn the right to exist. They're trying to appease a certain societal standard.
Exactly. I've seen multiple content creators who got so harassed and hated for simply existing in a fat body, but the moment they started a diet, people started being a lot kinder, telling them how proud they were, etc. The mere act of hating their fat bodies gave them so sort of approval.
Of course, people should support improvement instead of comfort zone and laziness. We are living in a society, of course we need to earn many things and create some value. We should not be entitled to everything.
Did you know that fat shaming doesn't help people lose weight? Like, even if the fat person in question that you happen to be fat shaming wants to lose weight, is actively attempting to lose weight, even in that scenario, fat shaming them actually is correlated with weight gain. Fat shaming someone also adds to their stress and anxiety, which are both unhealthy. It turns out being shitty to a fat person is bad. Who knew?
Irresponsible, self-abusive people would go their way anyhow.
Do you think fat shaming is a good way to promote people to be fit?
So I grew up really fat. My brothers called me like the Michelin man. That stuck with me like for a long time. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was vegetarian at some point. I went to exercise a lot, like a lot of cardio.
In that sense, isn't that an example of fat shaming working?
I think so. It depends. Like some people don't like criticism. I love when people give me feedback and I always try to like improve myself. But for some people it might be like an attack.
A lot of you are only skinny because of your DNA, and yet when a lot of you see fat people, you assume, oh, they must be overeating. They must be eating junk food all day. Consider this. Maybe everybody's bodies are different, and other people's regular weight might just be higher than yours. Obviously, what other people eat is none of your business, and I don't believe in moralizing food, but perhaps if you need to, like, starve yourself in order to be a certain weight, your body just isn't supposed to be that weight.
Your metabolism be faster or slower, but you can't cheat thermodynamics.
Both my parents are plus size and I'm plus size too.
And the fact that other stomachs can hold more food before it's full.
Adore that video.
Oh, hello.
Emphasizing results that don't have to do with what is happening to your body size is one of the key ways of making exercise a sustainable habit for yourself. And I know it's not as sexy as all of the dumb shit social media is trying to make you insecure about with Pilates arms and leggings legs and snatch weights. I know how dry it is for me to sit here and be like, but your bone density and your brain health. But people get so bent out of shape because their body size is not changing from the exercise that they just stop doing it altogether, and now they're no longer getting any of those wonderful results.
But how can we measure some of these? Improved longevity? Increased bone density? Decreased health risks? WTF?
And I think this is especially true in people in larger body sizes who are exercising regularly. Because people like that commenter are like, but it doesn't look like it though. Your body size and physical appearance are made up of so many components, and physical activity is just one teeny one. Everyone sees results from exercise, regardless of body size.
That's true, but wouldn't weight loss be assuring for obese people?
Non-scale victories.
Diet and exercise are both important, but wouldn't anyone choose good diet if they had to pick one?
I really don't understand comments like this, because how is this delusional? How? You can go back on all of my social media accounts, and some of them don't even exist because people are so upset that I am fat and happy on the internet. You can go back on all of my accounts and you can see how I've gotten thousands and thousands and thousands of hate comments for literally dancing on the internet, but in a fat body. For literally cooking food, but in a fat body. Literally going to festivals, but in a fat body. Literally doing anything online gets people mad. You know why? Because it triggers something in them. Well, I don't know what you mean by delusion, because this is factual. This is my experience. This has happened. You can go back and check the receipts. I know you're not going to do that, but there's proof that my existence, because I'm fat, makes people mad.
No, your attitude makes me mad.
Sweetheart, you don't get it. Why you think someone care who's skinny who is not? No need to live with a mindset that anyone cares.
My quest has taken me through the physical, the metaphysical, the delusional.
Do you know how delusional you sound?
Can go on an intentional weight loss journey without then talking shit about.
You gotta go back and watch Angelina's video. I absolutely adore her, and she's encouraged me to add my 2 cents from a very nuanced point of view. And that was 10 years ago, I lost a lot of weight and I became super fat phobic. Like, I was cruel, hurtful. I was a bully. Like, I was a bully. I was an asshole. And the reason I believe is because when weight loss is something a lot of people want to do. And when you achieve weight loss, you are put on such a pedestal. You are so revered and applauded. Like, people would tell me all the time, oh my God, you look amazing. Oh my God, you must have such amazing willpower. That diet you're on, I must go on it. It sounds awesome. Side note, no you don't. It was incredibly unhealthy. Do not go on that diet. let them stroke my ego. Of course I did. I've been fat my entire life. No one had ever spoken to me like this before. Okay? No one had ever applauded me. No one had ever looked up to me like this before. It was intoxicating. And so when I would look at my fat friends or fat folks, I'd be like, well, why don't they want what I have? Like, why don't they want to achieve this feeling? Oh, no, they can't. It's because they don't have the same willpower as I do. So therefore, I must be better, right? And when I explain it like that, it is so abundantly clear why this happens. It's so obvious, right? But it still happens. Not excusing it at all. I'm just setting out what the reality of the situation was. So I became the girl who lost a lot of weight. I was an inspiration. My friends would tell their friends my story. They would be like, oh, I have a friend and she lost 8 stone in a year, which is actually exaggerated. Like, I was like this folklore. I was like this mythical creature who achieved the most amazing feat of all, which was to lose weight and become thin. But then the diet stopped working. And I started gaining weight, which is what Angela says. This is what we know. Diets don't work long term. In fact, this diet irreparably damaged my digestive system that affects me to this day. Okay?
Then don't diet, just fast. That's beneficial to your digestive system. And how are your current eating habits better?
It is not sustainable. And so I started gaining weight. Massive crisis of self. Because who the fuck am I? Who am I? If I'm not the girl who lost a lot of weight, I'm no longer the inspiration. The compliments stopped coming, you know? Who am I? I gained the weight and then some back. I battled eating disorders. I went to so much therapy. And at the end of it, I found the body positivity, fat liberation, and fat acceptance communities.
And you gave up. Of course, everyone strives for easier lifestyle.
And I started to really understand that my self-worth is not tied to my body size. It is not tied to what the scales say. And I recognize I exchanged my empathy, my humanity, my friends, my relationships with friends, potentially, luckily, they're still all my friends. Thankfully, fucking hell, they could have cut me out. They should have cut me out. I was an asshole, you know what I mean? But I sacrificed all that in order to align myself with thin privilege, in order to align myself into that in-group, as Angela says, the in-group and the out-group. And then through my recovery, I recognized what I was doing. Now I can plead ignorance because this happened 10 years ago. I didn't know anything about body positivity. I was nowhere near as versed as I am now in fat acceptance and fat liberation. Okay, so I was cruel, does not excuse my cruelness, but I guess I just didn't know any better. Like, being fat was seen as such a sin I had to resolve. I no longer feel like that way, but that's how I felt when I was 22 years old, okay? But what I can't understand is when people who came up in the body positivity community, came up in the fat acceptance community, made money off of these communities, have now decided to pursue intentional weight loss. And I want to echo what Angelina says. You do you. If you want to lose weight, crack on. Bodily autonomy is 100% a right. Crack on. But I do not understand why you need to shit on this community, especially when you've come from that community, when you've built up from that community, when you've heard everyone's stories. How can you then turn around and shit on it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's so sad. I'm so saddened by it because I'm seeing these people do the same cycle I did. And that is exchanging your integrity, your morals, your ethics, your kindness, your empathy. You're exchanging that with aligning with thin privilege. But we know that alignment is so flippant, right? So for example, if I was to now say, oh, I am now going to pursue intentional weight loss, I would get a very, very small smidgen of alignment to thin privilege because I get a pat on the back and people tell me, well done, you're doing so well, you're an inspiration, good for you, etc., 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 right? Very small alignment. But say in like 3 months' time, even though I'm trying to lose weight or I've been following a diet and I didn't lose any weight, I would then have that alignment to thin privilege removed because I haven't lost any weight. You see what I'm saying? It is so flippant. what happens when the diets stop working? Which they do. We know they do. What happens when, you get to a point and you hit a plateau? What happens? You lose that alignment to that privilege. It is not worth, I believe, it is not worth throwing your integrity for. I really, really, really believe that. And that's why I feel so sad about the whole situation, about seeing these cycles repeat, and then, fade to black. It's just sad.
So you were saying you were a bad person and you stayed one? Got it. And there are many things you can adjust when you hit a plateau.
Can I ask what diet were you on at that time?
Herbalife.
Obesity and anorexia, they're equally unattractive.
I just said that so I didn't have to talk about the real issue, which is your morbid obesity.
It's for your mouth. Let me know if you need a bigger piece.
But they do.
I'm very fat. But how is the statement wrong?
For me it is and has been that simple. 20 pounds down. Good luck on whatever journey you're on.
So others' opinions don't matter?
Plus size travel struggles 2024. Still can't fit in the plain lavatory comfortably. Still can't walk down the aisles comfortably. Still can't use the tray tables. Still can't go through security without getting an extra pat down. Still can't fly without asking for a seatbelt extender. Still can't find plus-size clothing in stores or souvenir shops. Still can't enjoy the pool if it's not accessible to us.
Have you changed something about your lifestyle to expect this?
Bet that extra slice of cake ain't worth it now.
Extra slice or 600 extra slices.
Oh no, if only there was a simple, obvious solution to this problem. This didn't go as she'd hoped.
You know what I just realized? I spent like a huge part of my life just walking through life hoping that nobody would like pick up on that I was fat, or that nobody would mention it, or nobody would bully me for it. I curated my whole life to avoid that bullying. Like, I never told anybody who I had a crush on. I was always very careful to make sure everybody knew I was eating healthy and exercising. I did a lot of things so that nobody would make fun of me and bully me. And then I decided to come on here and start making content about this. And I have willingly taken on the bullying that I spent the first 21 years of my life, like, trying to avoid, like doing nothing but trying to avoid. And instead I have willingly taken that on, and I get terrible comments every day, and I get trolls telling me, you know, all these awful things, calling me all the names that I was never called by the grace of God in elementary school, because people were pretty fucking nice and I got lucky. And again, I did a lot of things to avoid that bullying, including starve myself. And now here I am, fat on the internet, getting all these horrible comments. And I gotta be so honest, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would not go back, because now I'm not living in fear. I'm not constantly worrying and wondering what could happen, what someone could say about me. No, it's all happened already. I've tackled my fear of that. And in exchange, I've built a beautiful community of people who I love talking with and listening to and sharing with, and it's been incredible. And I feel so much better now than when I was younger and just living my life to avoid the bullying that I now willingly receive on a day-to-day basis. But it is worth it for my community and for my peace of mind. And that's fucking growth, babes.
Today's eye-opening discussion is on a topic that's often overlooked: the profound impact of obesity on the brain. Beyond the physical consequences, obesity can cast a long shadow over our mental well-being.
If you don't feel like you owe health to your family and children, then you are a horrible parent. Fact.
I've been thinking about this a lot. What makes someone a good parent? Tomorrow, my oldest son turns 18, and I honestly can't believe it. I had him when I was 20 years old. No relationship with his biological father. Truly doing it on my own. And meanwhile, wanting to become who I literally am today. I dreamt of being a plus size model, of living in LA, of doing all of these things. I never really dreamt of being a mom. And I feel really lucky that I was able to be a mom in really, really chaotic, unplanned circumstances. And I feel really grateful that I've kept a human being alive for 18 years. And not only that, he is incredibly bright and so empathetic and so sweet. And we're so much alike. It's been a really good reminder to myself that I did this. You know, we did this. I don't know what makes someone a bad parent, but I know I'm not a bad parent. And I know that my son doesn't see me, my older son and my younger son, they don't see me as a failure because of my body size. If anything, they just see their mom. They see someone who is loving them, who shows up for them, who takes them to school, who picks them up, who watches all kinds of shows over and over that I don't really want to watch, but I watch it with them, who does all of the things that no one really wants to do in parenting, but you do it because you love your kids and you hope to give them something better than you had. And for those of us that didn't plan on being parents and didn't plan on being single parents at that, I think that I'm doing pretty good. And I know that my sons are proud of me, and that's all I really care about. So yeah.
You managed to make your response all about you.
You are a good human. He is a good human. That's all that matters. We need more good humans.
When we carry excess weight, our body's hormonal balance is thrown out of whack. Fat cells, particularly those deep within our abdomen, churn out inflammatory substances that can penetrate the blood-brain barrier, affecting brain function.
What if I was always told that my body and soul were in harmony? What if I was told to respect that vessel for carrying me through the world, and my vessel was worthy of that respect at a size 28 and a size 12?
Wrong definition of respect.
What if instead of seeing magazines question why a postpartum celeb would dare step foot in public without removing the evidence that their body once carried life, I saw magazines celebrate the wonder that is childbirth, and the marks bodies are left with in remembrance of this feat? What if we saw people of all sizes on our screens in film, TV, music and dance, as success and talent exist at every weight? And what if the conversations in workplaces didn't revolve around eating too much over the holidays, or you want to avoid Jenny's desk today, she has cakes and I can't indulge, I'm saving my sins? What if we just didn't talk about diets or weight loss at all? What if my body wasn't a problem that needed to be solved? What if we were just allowed to exist in peace?
Studies have shown that obese individuals are at a higher risk of developing dementia and cognitive decline later in life. The excess fat can lead to structural changes in the brain, impairing memory, decision-making, and overall cognitive function.
You cannot win on the internet as a fat person, because if you show self-confidence, you show that you're secure, then people, one, either think you're totally faking it, or two, think you are a complete delusional narcissist. Because apparently smiling in your videos and being generally happy with your life when you're fat is something that people think is impossible.
But if this was true, why are you making these videos?
But then if you show any lacking of confidence, if you show any lapse or insecurity, they latch onto it. And they say, of course you're insecure, you're fat. And then they use that to discredit the rest of the movement, saying this is the truth and everyone else is lying. Saying that at our core we are insecure and just projecting everything onto other people. Fat people are allowed to be happy with their lives. Why is it narcissistic for a fat person to not take hate, to be smiling and bubbly and be willing to have an opinion and be informed?
Have an opinion, yes, but push and force that opinion to others is a problem.
How come that is stigmatized? But if a thin person were to do it, suddenly they have credibility. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to credibility. Nothing a fat person does, outside of constantly apologizing for their fatness and actively changing it. Why can't a fat person be happy? Why can't a fat person be normal?
Because fat is not normal.
I have people in my comments every day. I see it in other people's comments. If a fat person is doing a thing, they will be hated on doing that thing because they're fat. Why is a fat person making makeup content? Why is a fat person doing a travel vlog? Why is a fat person going to school? Why is a fat person insert any other hobby or life activity instead of being at the gym, instead of losing weight?
But don't you think people should get their priorities straight?
Our entire lives don't have to be about our weight, which is another funny thing, because all over my comments, all over the internet, when people talk about fat activism, people talk about body diversity, people talk about body positivity, they say, all you do is make everything about your weight. But if we try to do anything not related to our weight, it's, why are you doing this? You need to be losing weight.
But have you tried to talk about anything else?
And it might be hard to believe if you haven't experienced it yourself, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And it doesn't mean it isn't common. These are shameful experiences that people don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about how they're being bullied. People don't want to talk about how they're being harassed. Some people just want to forget it's even happening. Some people just try to give benefit of the doubt. It's hard to reckon with the fact that you're being bullied. It's hard to even be willing to acknowledge that and not internalize that self-blame and say we deserve it. Because I also get fat people in my comments every day saying we deserve it. We deserve fat shaming.
What do you mean you cannot complain? That's all you do.
So people don't want to talk about how they're being harassed, but fat people can't win on the internet. Because at the end of the day, you guys just don't want to see us.
Win what? You cannot win the argument that fat is acceptable.
There's so much internet talk about people saying they would literally kill themselves if they were fat. People who grow up fat grow up trying to figure out where the hell they're gonna slice into themselves so that they can finally give themselves their own lipo and shit. In like elementary school, dude, like that's not cool. That is the type of anti-fatness that we are up against. It's deep. Fat people are only allowed to be doing one thing, and that is losing weight. So therefore, I am a narcissist, I am a liar for talking about my relationship, for talking about how fat people should not be harassed, for going to grad school, for playing video games, even working out. Because if you talk about working out or post a workout video that isn't exclusively revolved around calories and losing weight and getting smaller and how many pounds you've already lost, then it's useless. It's a pointless activity. Literally, it's not about being healthier. The only way a fat person can exist online or in public is by being smaller. Is by obsessing over our size, obsessing over our health in these ways that are so harmful.
Nothing is more harmful than constantly overeating.
This is why people grow up thinking that they can't do life. Life can't start for them until they lose weight. They can't go on that trip. They can't go to that relationship, or they can't go to that job. They can't go to school. They can't do this. They can't pursue their dreams. They can't go do anything until they lose weight. Fat people start with a wall in front of them that they have to scale before they can even enter into the graces of society. You can't live your life, you can't enjoy your life until you scale that fence, until you lose that weight.
And you never reach that goal.
Until you get to the other side and you're thin. Then you can be happy with yourself. Then you can be healthy. Then you can be in that relationship. Then you can be in that friend group. Then you can get that job. Then you can wear that bikini. Then you can eat that food. That's the only way we're accepted. That is the only thing a fat person can do. And we must never dare to try to do anything before then. And y'all will try to retaliate and keep us in that box. And try to keep us feeling small through your little comments and videos and responses and critiques. You need to remind us that that is our thing. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And we're ridiculous and should be embarrassed doing anything else. Because fat people aren't credible. What we say doesn't happen. What we say happened to us, what we say we experience, that's not real.
Not everything, but the thing that you do not eat that much and that fat is healthy.
And if it is, well, then you asked for it. We don't have to listen to that. We shouldn't have to endure that. But until the culture catches up, that fat phobia and the harassment we receive is actually bullying and is actually problematic and isn't okay. We are going to have to continue to endure this shit and do our best to find community and just ways through it. Because it's no matter what. There's only one right way for us to live. Also, I would just like to point out as a PSA, I just watched through the video and I was reminded that fat people get called out for making all their content about their weight if they dare to talk about fat positivity, body liberation, body diversity, any sort of shit where you're not supposed to hate yourself.
But why everything about weight?
And you're a fat person. Or you're talking about your experiences being fat. You're making weight your entire thing. You're making your fatness entire thing. But people who do weight loss pages and their entire content is just weight loss. It's also about weight. It's also about their body. But somehow that does not get the same treatment. That does not get called the same thing.
Of course it's not the same. That's inspirational.
The internet is filled with trolls. Don't listen. If you're not pissing people off, you're not doing it right. I'm so sorry though, BB.
Imagine spewing the garbage fat acceptance nonsense you do, and when people push back with facts you call it bullying.
While it's true that some individuals may face discrimination based on their weight, it's not accurate to claim that all fat people experience negativity or that their experiences are universally dismissed. The video suggests that people criticize fat individuals regardless of their actions, attributing negative motives to others without considering alternative perspectives. While online harassment and trolling are undoubtedly true, it's important to recognize that not everyone who disagrees with or criticizes a fat person does so out of malice or prejudice. While it's valid to critique societal attitudes toward weight and appearance, the video largely absolves individuals of personal responsibility for their health and well-being. Promoting body positivity is important, but it's also essential to encourage behaviors that support overall health and wellness.